Aita for kicking my MIL out of my daughter's first birthday party after she gave a family portrait that didn't include me. I'm still trying to figure out if I went too far or if it was just bound to happen. I'm 26F, intersex, and my husband, 29M, and I recently celebrated our daughter's first birthday. Due to fertility issues, we had her through a surrogate, our close friend Erin. Erin's been in our lives for years and is now our daughter's godmother and aunt. She's also a lesbian and in a happy relationship, which makes the rest of this feel even more absurd, but here we are. MIL has never outright said anything nasty about me, but she's had this pattern of constantly skimming past me and shining the spotlight on my husband and Erin. She was pleasant enough when my husband and I started dating, but once she found out I was intersex, she started acting strange. Not cruel, just invasive and weirdly fascinated, which I am sadly used to when people learn about this part of me. She asked me if I was technically male or female, if I'd ever considered surgery to simplify things, and once even asked about how creative our sex life is due to my condition, and that my husband shouldn't neglect his needs due to me, which my husband shut down. When we announced we'd be using a surrogate, her reaction was all about Erin. She kept saying how lucky we were to have someone like her and how it must be such a relief for my husband to have a real connection to the baby. She said things like, a child should always have some kind of biological anchor, and at one point asked if I'd ever feel left out. When I said no, she just smiled and said it was good that I was mature, and that she wouldn't if she had to rely on another woman to give her a child. At the gender reveal party, she gave a whole toast about motherhood, but focused completely on Erin. She threw in a line about being happy for me as the supportive partner who helped make it possible and insisted that Erin be present when my husband and I cut the cake to find out the baby's gender. I wanted to disappear into the floor. Erin was visibly uncomfortable. She's been very clear with both of us that while she's honored to have carried our child, but she has no desire to co-parent and isn't interested in being treated like anything more than a loving aunt and godmother. Since our daughter was born, MIL's made a habit of pushing me to the sidelines. She tags Erin and my husband in social media posts about the baby but never includes me. She takes candid photos of them holding the baby and captions them like they're a little family unit with only the occasional picture me and my husband with the baby. She keeps telling Erin how natural she looks with the baby, how she and my husband have such great chemistry when they're parenting together. Erin's told me herself that the whole thing feels like MIL's trying to script a version of reality that no one else is living in. Then came our daughter's first birthday. It was indoors thing, nothing super fancy but still special, you know. Cupcakes, a smash cake, snacks. I spent the few days prepping little decorations and favors with my husband, and for the most part, it was going fine. MIL showed up late and immediately handed me a huge gift bag, saying it was something extra special from Grandma and Erin. Erin, who was already at the party and had brought her own clearly labeled gift earlier, just stared at it like she had no idea what was inside. I opened the bag because MIL insisted I do it in front of everyone while our daughter was happily destroying the cake. Inside was a framed, custom illustration of my husband, Erin, and the baby, just the three of them, styled like a family portrait, standing in front of our house. I wasn't in it, at all. She had apparently commissioned it based on photos from the baby shower and social media and acted like it was the most thoughtful gift she could have given for our daughter. There was a weird silence while everyone tried to process it. Erin looked horrified. My husband asked her, flat out, why I wasn't included. MIL gave a little shrug and said something like that she didn't mean anything by it, and she just wanted to capture the bond between who created my daughter so she could look back on it. She looked right at me and added, that of course that I'm part of my daughter's in my own special way, like I'm the babysitter. I just told her she needed to leave, right then with my tone admittedly being a little harsh. She acted stunned, said I was blowing things out of proportion, that it was just a sweet keepsake. I told her no, it wasn't, and I said she could leave quietly or I'd ask someone to walk her out. She left after that. Now my husband's siblings have been texting me like crazy about how I embarrassed her and that I could have addressed it after the party. That I ruined what should have been a happy day over a misunderstanding. My husband disagrees. He said he's proud of me for standing up for myself and that he should have put his foot down long ago. Erin also told me I handled it better than she would have. Still, I've been turning it over in my head ever since. I worked so hard to make that day beautiful for our daughter, and I keep wondering if kicking her out really made me just as bad, or if it was the only way to finally shut it down. Was I the asshole for sending her out the way I did? Stories number 2. Aita for wanting to break up with my GF when she said she wanted to keep things casual 8 months ago and now wants to move in with her kids. I 34M have been seeing this woman 41F for the past 8 months or so now. She was just getting out of a messy divorce and wanted something casual and fun. I told her I wasn't looking for anything serious either and made clear I never wanted kids because I knew she had 2 daughters in high school. We've had effortless chemistry but we've never gotten more serious over the time of our relationship. A few days ago she brought up the idea of her and her kids moving into my place. I figured because I live on the beach she just wanted an upgraded lifestyle, but then she brought up how the town I live in has a much better public school system than the one she's living in now. She's super sweet and I've met her daughters and they seem very nice, but I'm like, WTF, how do we go from a casual relationship to moving in and me becoming a stepdad overnight? I don't see a path that involves me saying how I felt and her just accepting things how they are. I feel like if a woman wants to move in with you, you're beyond the casual stage. She's even joked a couple times recently about how she knows she can't give me anything I don't already have, but she can always give me a cute baby SMH. Like I said, she's really nice, but this is just way too much all at once. Comments. Commenter 1. Time to have a serious conversation. You two are clearly not on the same page regarding the relationship. Commenter 2. Agreed, no point dragging things out when it's clear they need to communicate and figure out where they stand. Commenter 3. Dragging it out just builds resentment. Clear talk now saves everyone from bigger mess later. Commenter 4. She's clearly not coping well with her divorce and perhaps using OP as an emotional rock to stand on a discussion about what kind of relationship they'll have moving forward needs to happen. If OP is uncomfortable with the speed or decisions, then a step back is needed. Update. Just want to start off by saying I appreciate all the advice/support from my last post. I told the woman that I was seeing that I couldn't continue on with her and that the idea of her moving in with her teenage daughters after 8 months of casual dating was too much too soon. She was pissed and went on and on about how I wasn't a good guy and that I used her and all that. I just hung up after a while and blocked her. On one hand I feel like an asshole for just dumping her out of the blue, from her perspective, but I honestly feel relieved. I think she was hoping I'd get her pregnant. After thinking about it more, I realized how could I possibly be with someone long-term who wanted to move in with me with her 2 teenage daughters after a casual relationship for 8 months. I met her daughters in passing just once and she wants to move them in with us. I think I dodged a bullet but still feel a bit bad. She's gorgeous and fun but a bit dangerous too, I suspect, lol. Comments. Commenter 1. Seems like you dodged a bullet. Commenter 2. Several bullets fired from an Uzi held by someone with poor motor skills aiming in OP's direction, lol. Commenter 3. Well done, it was not out of the blue, you never need a reason to end a relationship. But as you keep saying, this relationship was casual and you told her precisely why it would not work. Her judgment is trash. You should never move your children into a home with a man they do not know after 8 months. You may be a good guy, but a good mother would never take that sort of chance. Anything could happen to her girls. I'm willing to bet she's losing her place or has some financial difficulties happening and was looking for a way out. Or she is just crazy. Stories number 3. My 40F husband, 42M, told me our daughter's friend, 18F, tried it on with him. I didn't react well. The last couple of weeks my husband has been very quiet and not sleeping well. I've asked him a couple of times if he's okay and he said yes, but I could tell something was bothering him. On Saturday he said he needs to talk to me and burst into tears. I made us a cup of tea and sat down with him. He just blurted it out and said Ava, our daughter's friend, had been coming on to him and he doesn't know what to do. He said it started when he made a cake for her 18th birthday party. She messaged him saying she got his number from our daughter and thank you for the cake. She then sent a lot of photos of herself in the dress she wore for the party. He just replied saying it looked a fun party. She then messaged asking if he could look at her car for her as it was making a funny noise. She came round and he looked and said it was the brakes. He told me this at the time so he wasn't hiding anything. She came round when our daughter was home but I wasn't and she went inside while my husband worked on the car outside. When it was done she came out alone and said she had no money on her and he said that's fine, just bring it round whenever or give it to our daughter. She then said she can pay another way and in his words, flashed me and I said I've got to go and went inside closing the door. I read through all the messages and he never replied to any of them after this incident and that afternoon she messaged him saying, thanks for doing my car for me. You're cute when you're shy. She's messaged him hundreds of times since asking if he's alone, asking for lifts, asking if thinks she's pretty and she's sent loads of pics from fully clothed to fully nude. My husband has said he doesn't know whether to reply, to talk to her parents, to talk to me. He said he's scared he's going to ruin our daughter's life if this comes out. I don't know why but I suddenly exploded. I called him a pervert, I said he must have led her on, I said he must have paid her as he's far too old and ugly for her, I called him disgusting and said I want him out the house, I said he's ruined our daughter's life and plenty of other awful things. I stormed out the house and when I came back an hour later he was gone. Over the last couple of days I've calmed down and realized he's done nothing wrong and I've reacted awfully. I've tried ringing and messaging him but he's not responding. Why did I react like that and how do I apologize to him? What do we do about these messages? Do we talk to her or her parents? TLDR, our daughter's friend has been coming on to my husband. I blamed him. Edit. It's 5 a.m. here in the UK now and I'm going to drive to his brother's house now where he's staying as I know he leaves for work about 6 and I'm going to try and talk to him face to face. I've got flowers, chocolates and wearing his favorite outfit. I'll let you all know what happens. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, he was vulnerable and confided in you and you treated him like a piece of shit. You're a fucking horrible person and I hope he leaves your ass. Reply, I think he will to be honest and I don't blame him I messed up. Commenter 2, why has your husband not blocked her number? And why are you assuming that this is his fault? Is it because you're not going to believe your husband of how many years over an 18-year-old child who's coming on to him? YTA. Reply, I don't know what came over me. I've never been the jealous or insecure type. I just suddenly got a massive pang of jealousy and pictured him with a younger better-looking woman and lost it. This is all on me not him. Commenter 3, you victim blamed your husband. He came to you scared and afraid and you blamed him. He came to you for support and you betrayed him. You're his wife. You're supposed to be his partner. You're supposed to trust him. He's supposed to be able to come to you when times are hard and you betrayed him. You should be ashamed of yourself. He believed in you. I hope he doesn't come back. Instead of talking about speaking to the girl's family, first you should speak with your husband. Reply, I've tried to speak to him but understandably he doesn't want to speak to me. I don't know why I acted that way. I feel terrible for him, he looked so scared. Commenter 4, assuming the messages are one-sided, your husband should tell Ava's parents and show the receipts. You fucked up real bad. If you haven't already, you need to 1. Apologize and take ownership of your fuck-up, 2. Explain that you don't even understand your own reaction and offer to go to couples therapy, and 3. Offer to go to Ava's parents with him. Even if he no longer wants you there, it's likely best for him if you present a united front to the parents. Reply, they are fully one-sided. He said he didn't delete them so he has evidence in case she said something and I accused him of keeping them so he can wank off over the picture's tired face. Commenter 5, you slut shamed your own husband, WTF. Poor guy, as a woman you should know better. Going out on a limb here but maybe you should have hugged him and told him you love him. You possibly reacted that way because you don't know how to handle betrayal. But you were betrayed by the daughter's friend, not your husband. The girl is an adult regardless of who she is to your family, she is trying to mess with your husband. Your anger was wildly misplaced. I am the type to confront, not get angry, but that's just me. You may have just ruined your marriage and will have to live with it, even though you didn't mean to. Mistakes have consequences. Do you always have a super short fuse? You are going to need a lot of therapy to live a healthy life. Sorry this happened to you. This is a sucky situation. Reply, I've never been jealous or insecure. I don't know what came over me. We've known this girl since she was 5 and for some reason I blamed my husband not her. I pictured them together and got an insane surge of jealousy. Why was OOP's husband making cakes? Reply, he makes amazing decorative cakes and her parents asked if he could make her one for her 18th. Commenter, I don't understand why he didn't come to you much sooner. How did he let it progress to nude pics before he said something to you and her parents? Reply, I've just started a new job. He knew I was stressed out and didn't want to cause stress and our daughter is taking exams at the moment. OOP had no respect for her husband when told the news. Reply, I know I handled this terribly. I've been messaged by loads of younger men on socials and he's always laughed about it and said, you're too gorgeous they can't resist you. There's a young lad from my gym who added me on Instagram and started liking all my posts and commenting before DMing me and my husband just laughed and said, I don't think we are at the stage where we need a young man to take over in the bedroom yet. Update. So I went round to my husband's brother's yesterday morning at 5:30 a.m. to wait for him to leave for work so I could talk to him. I wore his favorite dress of mine and took him chocolate, flowers and a letter I'd wrote for him. The talk went how a lot of you wanted it to go. He told me he'd spoken to a lawyer and he wanted a divorce. He said he can't get past what I said and as soon as he laid eyes on me he felt nothing but anxiety and a need to run. He said he'll never get over what I said and how I acted and that's that. I know I deserve this but I am still incredibly heartbroken. Last night he also met up with our daughter and told her everything and she is also not talking to me and said she's going to live with her dad when this is over. She also said her friend has been saying for years that she fancies my husband but thought it was just stupid talk and she wouldn't actually do anything. She's still friends with Ava but told her she will fall out with her if she does anything else. My husband had also spoken to the girl's parents who didn't really seem to give a shit. They said she's 18 and can do what she wants and they are sorry she's tried to get with a married man but they can't ban her from talking to people and she'll be going to uni in September so they don't want to cause any unrest before she goes. My husband said he felt a lot more relaxed once he'd spoken to them and our daughter, so hopefully he can sleep now. TLDR, everyone knows now. I'm the bad guy. Ava got away with no punishment. Edit, I'm too drunk to reply, I'll reply tomorrow X. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, why would Ava have gotten in trouble? She is a legal adult. Sure, she shouldn't have flirted with someone married, but that's life, it happens. Going to her parents was going to change absolutely nothing. Reply, he just went there to clear his name in case anything came of it, but the impression he got was as this wasn't even the first time it's happened. Downvoted commenter, I'm sorry everyone is shitting on you OP, try to find a good therapist you can talk out your feelings and why you reacted like that. Then, if you still want to be with your husband, try again. Reply, I'm already booked in to see a therapist about impulse control and anger management. Commenter 2, girl, this is a lot. I read the original post and I wonder if your husband has cheated in the past that caused you to say all those things. I'm a bit of a hothead myself and I do tend to say awful things, but I really wonder why you said all of that stuff. I sympathize with you, I really do. Unfortunately, when men's feelings get hurt they'll shelter themselves and there's really no return from this. Keep apologizing though and express how much of a dickhead you are, it might save your relationship. Show how remorseful you are. Reply, no, he's never cheated. He wouldn't even have a threesome with me and another woman when I've offered him. He said he only had eyes for me. Commenter 3, OMG, did you really shatter the entire illusion of feeling apologetic by bringing Ava up in the last sentence? Reply, she ruined my marriage. Stories number 4. AITA for not wanting to provide anything for my children's half-siblings. I, 30M, have 2 kids, 12F, 11M, with my ex and we share 50-50 custody and parenting time. Our breakup was acrimonious and we still hate each other. But we do try to keep that from our kids by being civil when they're around and the rest of the time we hardly ever speak or acknowledge each other. All communication outside of face-to-face is done via an app. She has 4 additional children. She has a 9-year-old son with someone else. And she has a 6-year-old daughter, 4-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old son with her husband. I have never purchased anything for my children's half-siblings, nor have they ever asked to buy stuff for them with me or asked me to buy them anything. I have never spent time with their half-siblings either. We do custody exchanges at a third-party location and they go from one car to the other with minimal to no interaction between their mom and myself. My ex's parents have kept in touch with me over the years. Back when my ex's 9-year-old was born, her parents hinted that I should take him on as my own son because of the situation with his biological father. I ignored it and after a few months they dropped the subject altogether. They have overshared things about my ex's household and I had to tell them it wasn't something I needed to hear unless it involved my children. But I know her husband doesn't accept or provide for the 8-year-old thanks to them. And this is an argument now being used. I provide a lot of what my kids need and want. When it comes to school supplies and clothes I do it more frequently than their mom because the quality between what she can buy and what I can is different. Most of the school supplies are left in school so it's not a big concern of mine that she'll just take them for her other kids. But she did ask me about a year ago to buy more for ours and let her distribute them among her school-aged kids. I told her I was her ex for a reason and it was on her and her husband to provide for their kids like I was providing for our kids. My contact with her parents greatly reduced in the last few months because they decided to campaign for me to provide things for their other grandchildren. More specifically the 8-year-old, but they feel like as the father of those kids' half-siblings I should be willing and eager to make sure they have what they need. They argued that it would give my kids good values too because right now they do not care that they have more and better than their half-siblings. Ex's parents were very concerned about this and even asked my kids if they'd ask me to get stuff they could share and they told them no. I asked them why the hell they were involving my kids like that and they said the kids should be doing it themselves. That they were shocked my kids didn't advocate for their younger half-siblings at all and they told me they only look out for each other, not the others, and I have shown them that. And that I show them to do that every time they experience having more or better than their half-siblings. They argued with me that a good father would want his kids to take care of their family even if their kid's family wasn't identical to their own. I talked to my kids about their grandparents and they only spoke to them about this and requested it twice. Nothing else on the topic since, but the only contact ex's parents and I now have is when we are supporting the kids at the same activities. The last time I saw them was at the end of May and they were letting me know they were disappointed and believed I wasn't as good of a father as they believed. And they said I am letting innocent kids suffer because of my ex's actions in our breakup and not teaching my kids better. I find this whole thing frustrating because I have 2 kids and I provide for my 2 kids. I didn't have more than I could provide for and we live a comfortable life. I don't feel like it should be on me to be responsible for any other kids my ex has, but I know her 9-year-old is the loser most of all in this. So I'm here asking if taking this stance makes me TA. Edited because I realize I got confused and was saying my ex's son was 9 and 8 in places. He's 9. Had to do some math in my head to remember. Stories number 5. My boyfriend, 41M, has an expensive hobby so we have to live very frugally and it's starting to bother me. 39F, I'm not sure what to do. My boyfriend, 41M, and I, 39F, have been together for about a year. He's a caring and considerate partner. However, he lives very frugally to be able to afford his expensive hobby. He loves to sail and between the costs of financing his boat, which he purchased before we met, fuel costs, insurance, marina fees, maintenance, etc. I would estimate that it creates around $3,000 plus each month in expenses. This comes out of his disposable income so he's not asking me to pay for any of it but it's not an interest I share. I don't particularly like being on boats. I think sailing really gives him a lot of peace and a sense of pride. We mostly split expenses, and I don't live a particularly expensive lifestyle. I don't have a huge desire to visit fancy restaurants and am happy taking a weekend road trip instead of some big international trip, and so for a while it didn't bother me that he spends so much on his hobby. He also is very conscientious about saving so he saves a large portion of his income as well, and I support him wanting to build his savings. However, we don't currently live together, partially because of how frugally he chooses to live in order to be able to afford this hobby. He has a tiny condo and no car, though I have a car. He eats very simply. If we were to move in together, we'd need to move into a smaller apartment than I'd prefer. We live in an expensive city, or move somewhere else where he'd need to save less. If it were up to me, we'd spend more on activities, splurge from time to time, and get a decent-sized apartment, etc. However, he's not really on board with those expenses, except on holidays, like a birthday, etc. We still go out to do stuff, but obviously he prefers inexpensive/free local events, which I also enjoy but it would be nice to do other stuff too. If I want to go to a pricey concert or to the theater or do a spa day or whatever, I'll generally end up doing that stuff with friends. He's someone who is willing to compromise on things, but I don't even know what to ask him for. Sell his boat. He had it before we met. Stop saving. That sounds like I'm asking him to be irresponsible. I could offer to pay for more stuff, but I think that would create a very bad relationship imbalance, especially when he makes more than I do. Honestly, I'm not sure what to do. I feel like a jerk asking him to give up his hobby or like I was being immature, telling him not to worry so much about saving money. Dump him? He's honestly a great guy. At the same time, it seems silly that our lives are so limited when both of us have okay income. I'm not sure what to do here. Or maybe I should just be happy he's a good guy. Stories number 6. My wife killed herself and I am angry. She died 3 months ago and I am still in shock and disbelief that she is really gone. Both my wife and I are 25 and we have 2 kids ages 7 and 3. My 7-year-old daughter seems to be dealing with her death better than I am. I have been with my wife since we were both only 11 years old. When we were both 15 she got pregnant and we were super excited to have this baby. We found out it was a girl and named her Alice after a character in a movie we both like. Unfortunately she had a late-term miscarriage when she was 6 months along. After her miscarriage she turned suicidal to the point where she had to be in a mental hospital for months. Her parents were abusive to her and were treating her horribly during this time. When she was finally discharged she decided that she can no longer live with her parents so she moved in with my dad and I. We were 16 at this time and she seemed happier. We were constantly partying but she kept talking about how much she misses Alice. We got her cremated and she would spend hours talking to her ashes and crying that she isn't here. About a year later, when we were 17 and in our senior year of high school we found out that she was pregnant again. It was a girl and my wife was happy because this was a reincarnation of Alice. She even decided to name this baby after another character from the same movie Alice is from. But as her pregnancy went on she realized that this bae isn't Alice and even after she gave birth to our daughter she told me that she doesn't love her as much as she loves Alice. I told her to start therapy but she refused. Soon after we moved out of my dad's house and into our own apartment. She felt really lonely with this move especially since I worked a full-time job and she was at home all day with the baby. She kept telling me that she wished we didn't have our daughter and that Alice was here instead. She started working so she could get out of the house. She ended up hating it and quit a month later. About a year after this when we were 19 I proposed to her. She was super excited to be a fiancé and kept telling me how she wants to spend the rest of her life with me but that it would be better if it was just us and not our daughter. 2 years later when we were 21 my wife found out that she was pregnant again. I asked her if she wanted to keep it and she told me that she really does and that she thinks this baby could be Alice reincarnated unlike our daughter. When we found out it was a boy, she began trying to kill herself again and had to be put in a mental hospital for 2 weeks. The only thought that kept her going was that maybe God sent Alice as a boy. Towards the end of her pregnancy we got married and bought a house. After she gave birth she told me that she didn't just not love this baby, she didn't like him at all. During the next few years before her death she would constantly talk about Alice and cry about how she misses her so much while telling me about how she wishes we never had our children. She killed herself on the 10-year anniversary of Alice's death. She wrote in her suicide note that she realized that there is no one on this earth that she loves more than Alice and that she needs to go be with her even if that means leaving all of us behind. I am feeling a lot of emotions, but mostly I am angry at her because why do you care more about your miscarriage from 10 years ago than your 2 living children or me? Our daughter told me that she's not that sad about her mom's death because she knows that she never loved her. It breaks my heart that my child feels that way and that I know that it's true. And now my kids will never have a mom again. But as much as I'm mad at her, I love that girl more than anything since the moment I met her in middle school. It's just a sad situation to be in. I don't know. Stories number 7. Aita for not chipping in for a Gucci bag or a €3,000 birthday dinner I didn't plan. I, 29F, and my husband, 35M, are part of a close group of friends. We're all in our late 20s to mid-30s, most of us are married or in serious relationships, and we usually celebrate birthdays together. The usual setup has always been that the birthday person hosts and pays for everyone, but about a year ago, this weird new tradition started. For each birthday, someone opens a WhatsApp group and says, let's all chip in for this really expensive gift. We're talking about things like Hermes flip-flops, Formula 1 tickets, Gucci bags. It's all very public and a bit uncomfortable to say no. My husband and I have always gone along with it, even though it's felt a bit much at times. For example, we paid around €300 towards a €1,500 Formula 1 ticket for my husband's best friend, let's call him Tom. At the time, it felt okay. But now things are different. We're already parents to 1 child, we're trying for a second, and we just opened a new business which we fully funded from our own savings. Everyone in the group knows this, including Tom. We're doing fine financially, but we're definitely being more careful. These expensive group gifts are not something we feel comfortable doing anymore. A few weeks ago it was my husband's birthday. One of the friends asked if I was going to open a WhatsApp group for a gift. I said no, my husband didn't want anything. We hosted everyone for a pool party, paid for everything ourselves, and we're happy to do it. For the record, Tom gave my husband a nice bottle of tequila worth around €100. We appreciated it. I'm not complaining at all. I've never judged or compared gifts, and I've been genuinely grateful for every single one, no matter the price. 2 weeks later, it was Tom's girlfriend's birthday. He opened a group chat and said she would like a Gucci bag. I told my husband I didn't want to participate in this one. He agreed. We didn't reply in the group, but we bought her a €120 massage voucher as a gift. Her birthday was held at a really fancy and expensive beach restaurant. We went, enjoyed the event, had fun and made sure the birthday girl had a blast. A few days later, Tom wrote in the group that the bill was €3,000 and said that if anyone would like to contribute, they could. I told my husband I didn't want to chip in. We didn't choose the place. We gave her a gift. And again, we're being more mindful about money right now. He obviously agreed. Then Tom messaged my husband privately and said he expected us to help with the dinner bill since we didn't join the group gift. He said our €100 gift wasn't enough, brought up the fact that we had always participated before, including for his Formula 1 ticket, and said we were being jerks for not pitching in at all this time. I honestly don't understand it. I've never once complained about the gifts we got. I've always been thankful. But suddenly we're being labeled as the rude ones just because we made a different choice this time based on our current situation. TLDR, our friend group does expensive group gifts and dinners for birthdays. We used to join in, but now that we have a kid, are trying for a second, and just opened a self-funded business, we're being more careful. We didn't pitch in for a Gucci bag or a €3,000 dinner at one friend's girlfriend's birthday. Gave a €100 gift instead. Now we're being called jerks. People say it's tacky to ask for money after the fact and that Tom sounds like a greedy jerk. Some of the comments. I'm a lawyer and my husband is a real estate broker, we work together and own the company, our friends are in finance/a doctor digital marketing. Tom's girlfriend is actually the one that started the whole thing with his F1 ticket. Yeah, I guess everyone in the group is pretty well off. I have to say, we're all friends for many years and everyone built themselves all alone, no help or favors given. Still, I'm not the type to spend money on expensive stuff I could otherwise spend on my kid or the new business. The bill he wanted us to pay is more expensive than a month of kindergarten for my son. Commenter. We had absolutely no problem paying for our meal, but for the past decade, the birthday person always paid for the lunch/dinner. We only found out about the high bill a few days later. None of us ever asked anyone else in the dinner party to pay. When we were still young and couldn't afford it, we used to host at home. We decided to do that after every birthday dinner ended in a fight on who will pay. We used to all cover our meal plus a part of the birthday person's meal, but then they would fight back, etc. etc. A matter of culture, I guess. No, we absolutely RSVP'd to the dinner, just didn't answer the gift group thing. Update, and it's a hilarious one. We've been trying to figure out who keeps logging into our TV streaming service. We live in Europe and the streaming service is to watch TV from our home country. We pay about €280 a year for it and can only use it on 2 devices at once. We kept being logged out of our living room TV. Turns out Tom was using it since my husband logged in at his house a year ago. Guess we're even, lol. TBH, never liked him, but he has this bond with my husband that I don't understand, yet I respect. The bag would have been €150 per person, so €300 in total. But yeah, we should have spelled it out. We've done the same thing for about a decade. The birthday haver hosts/takes everyone out for dinner, and the rest get gifts if they want to. When we were younger, we mostly hosted at home. When we grew older and finances got better, we started going to restaurants. The WhatsApp thing started this January. Update. Hi guys, first of all, we love you all. Just wanted to say we're no longer participating in the group gift tradition. With our growing family and the new business, we're trying to be more mindful with money. We'll always celebrate you in our own way. Thanks for understanding. Most people responded kindly and said they completely understood. Then one couple reached out to us privately and told us they're currently going through IVF. They said they've been feeling very uncomfortable with the pressure of the group gift tradition but didn't want anyone to know what they were going through. They were afraid that if they opted out, people would ask questions. They were really relieved we spoke up. We also spoke to everyone else individually. Aside from Tom, his girlfriend, and one other couple, everyone was glad to stop the expensive gift tradition. That one other couple preferred the group gifts because they found them more convenient, but they weren't upset at all and didn't cause any drama. They just said they'll go along with whatever the group decides. Tom and his girlfriend, though, didn't take it so well. Yesterday, Tom texted my husband saying our message in the group chat felt passive-aggressive and like we were throwing shade at him. His girlfriend messaged me and said we should have just told her privately that we don't have the money, instead of announcing it in front of everyone. She was upset that now the tradition was over. I tried to keep it light and said, no problem, my birthday's coming up and I want a trip to Thailand for my whole family. She didn't respond. To make sure there were no hard feelings, we also sent Tom €200 to cover our share of the food and drinks from his girlfriend's birthday dinner. Then today, we spoke with them again, and things got even more frustrating. They told us that our decision not to do any group gift, or any gift at all, for my husband's birthday came off as condescending and inconsiderate, as if we're better than them for not wanting gifts. Apparently, it made life harder for everyone. That was never our intention. We just genuinely didn't want anything and were happy to host and celebrate without gifts. As a group, we've now all agreed to go back to the old tradition, the birthday person hosts everyone. When we were younger, that usually meant breakfast, lunch, or dinner at home, nothing over the top. It felt more personal and less stressful, and everyone seems happier going back to that. Lastly, my husband and I have decided to take a step back from Tom. This whole situation made it clear that a lot of people in the group feel like they can't say anything around him without him getting offended. We're not angry, just tired. We want to enjoy our friendships without walking on eggshells. Thanks again to everyone who commented on the original post. You helped us see that we weren't crazy for feeling the way we did. In the end, we think this reset was needed, for us and for the group. Info, we're a group of 5 couples. TL, we chipped in for the meal, made ourselves clear, and, almost, everyone is happy. Stories number 8. My coworker tried to get out of closing duties by forgetting, so I made a checklist she couldn't ignore. I used to work at a locally owned bookstore. It was a pretty chill job, nothing corporate, just a small team of 6 people rotating shifts. We had opening and closing duties that were clearly listed on the backroom whiteboard. It wasn't rocket science. Just stuff like counting the drawer, vacuuming, restocking displays, and wiping down counters. Then there was Megan. She was nice enough during the day, but when we worked closing shifts together, she would accidentally disappear around 7:45, and we closed at 8. Sometimes she'd be checking something in the stockroom, other times she'd say she was going to the bathroom and just never come back until I was already locking the door. That meant I ended up doing all the closing duties. Every time. I brought it up to her once, really casually, like, hey, I noticed I've been doing most of the closing stuff lately. Mind helping with the floors tonight? She smiled and said, oh no. Sorry. I totally didn't realize. Then did the same exact thing again the next shift. So I got a little petty in the most professional way. I typed up a closing checklist with spaces for initials next to each task. I laminated it and taped it right next to the time clock. I didn't single anyone out. I told the whole team it would help keep track of who did what, and our manager thought it was a great idea. Sure enough, the first night Megan and I closed after that, she paused when she saw the list. She half-heartedly vacuumed a corner of the store, signed off, and left me with the rest. The next morning, I sent our manager a photo of the checklist, with her name next to one task and mine next to everything else. Didn't even have to complain. The manager pulled her aside later that week and told her closing would be rotated fairly from now on. After that, Megan either pulled her weight or swapped shifts entirely to avoid closing. Either way, I never had to scrub the coffee counter solo again. Stories number 9. AIO thinking about breaking up with my fiancé due to how he treats my special needs sister. I'm 29 years old and my fiancé is also 29. We've known each other since 2015, because he attends the same religious church as me. We started dating in 2022 and he proposed to me in February of this year. We have plans to get married in October. He's an only child and I have one little sister who has some special needs, with me being an only sibling to my little sister who is 19. If something were to happen to my parents and when they can no longer care for her, she'll be living with me. She's not severely disabled. She has Down syndrome and a low IQ. She's very independent though. She can walk, talk, eat, shop, do a lot of life skills on her own with minimal assistance. She's just very vulnerable and isn't aware of safety. My fiancé is fully aware of the circumstances regarding our future and has accepted her living with us. It becomes a topic a lot since we're also considering having our own kids, so not all of the time, but sometimes when my fiancé and I go out I include my sister. I do respite for my sister, and I get paid to do respite for her. Again, my fiancé has always been acceptable with me including her when we hang out. We went out yesterday and I included my sister. My whole night felt ruined because of him. We went out to eat and my sister was trying to order, he kept rushing her when she was stuttering a bit. I didn't make a scene and kept silent due to not wanting to make a scene. We went to the mall next to go shop at my sister's and I's favorite store. My fiancé stayed out of the store. Which was fine because this store is aimed towards women. When we got done with shopping, and my little sister was showing him what she got, he didn't say anything and didn't even show any interest. I confronted him a bit and he made a rude remark saying, God forbid me not caring about your sister fragrances. Our last stop was Target, I had to get some things and I had my sister help with scanning things. He seemed annoyed and told me that she needs to speed things up because this is awkward. Mind you, there wasn't even a line and multiple of self-checkouts were open. When he dropped me off at home yesterday I didn't even say anything. As much as I want us to grow together I can't be with someone who belittles my sister. Do I have the right to be upset? Relevant comments. Commenter 1, I can empathize with both of you here, I had a niece with special needs and it can be a lot. So I can't blame anyone for not being ready to have that in their life, but it's important for him to respectfully say, I'm sorry, I'm not ready for that, instead of lying to you to keep his romantic access, to put it overly politely. Huge red flag. Try to work it out with him if you want, but for the sake of the kids don't have this man's kids. Being a parent requires way more patience than he's shown he's capable of, and you just know if one of them is disabled he'll blame you and your family's genes. Reply, his mother actually asked my parents about our gene pool when we went out with his parents one time, but said afterwards that she would love her grandchild regardless. So I just let that one go. Commenter 2, I'm confused about what was awkward at Target. Her in general. Her speed while checking items or a lack thereof. Either way, I'd be offended and feel protective of her because I can't see his perspective about either being valid. I'm so sorry he was mean to you and toward her. The term red flag exists for this reason. Continue the engagement but be very aware of what and how he says things. If you continue to see red flags, make the hat choice sooner than later. Reply, I was having her scan items, because it's a goal she works on since she gets state services for her intellectual disability. We had a full cart and it was taking a little longer than usual to finish, because she would accidentally scan something twice. So the staff was kind of hanging close around us in case we needed assistance. I think he low-key feels embarrassed just by her presence and feels like we're being stared at. Downvoted commenter, yeah, this reads like you treat your 19-year-old sister like she is 9, and you take her out on dates with the two of you. And it doesn't sound like it was something he enjoyed either. OP, Imma, be real, you are not her parent, you are her sister, and if you don't nip this in the bud, this will not be the only relationship with a guy you are involved with ending. Reply, she has serious intellectual disabilities. She's not a typical 19-year-old, and I apologize if that bothers you that I treat her of the age of her mentality. I also mentioned that I don't always include her on our date nights. It's a once-a-month thing with her tagging along. I know I'm not her parent, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with caring for her once in a while. It takes a village supporting a special needs family member. Update. After posting about it, reading most of the comments and doing deep thinking, I've decided to cut ties with him last Sunday. It was one of the most hardest things that I've had to do, because we've had our future planned out and he was my first relationship. Family will always come first for me, and I'm not going to be with someone who is an ableist. Especially when him and I can end up with a disabled child someday, because muscular dystrophy does run in my family. As far as my future, I'm a pediatric RN, so I'm going to keep focusing on my career. I have a savings account set up, so I'm planning on applying for an apartment very soon. I'm also going on a Bahamian cruise in October that was supposed to be our honeymoon, but I'll be going with my best friend instead. So I'm ecstatic for that. I'm going to keep living my life as best as I can and not dwell over a relationship that obviously wasn't meant to be. For the few people who made comments such as that, I'm just going to end up single, because no one wants the package that I come with. Just know that I see the ableism in you and you might want to humble yourselves, because anyone can become disabled respectfully. Relevant comments. How did OOP's ex take the news of the breakup? Reply, it went pretty sour, but I expected it because he has a pretty short temper. Which is crazy to admit, because we are both a part of the LDS church. A little context. So before officially breaking up, on Saturday we went out, because I really wanted to get down to the root of the problem on why he was so disgusted by my sister. He started gaslighting me and making me feel like it was a me issue. That's when I knew that it wasn't going to work, and on Sunday I had him come over to my house and I told him that we're done. He started crying and apologizing, then he turned into a hothead and demanded the ring back, and everything that I owned that he brought for me. Crazy, right? Mind you, this happened at my parents' house where I'm currently living. They were already aware of his behavior. When he demanded everything back and refused to leave my bedroom, I just texted my mom for help because it was the first time that he showed genuine rage at me, and I didn't want to get physically hurt. My dad, who is a retired cop, came up and told him to leave. OOP should give the ring back to her ex. Reply, the ring I absolutely did give back. But clothes that I own and have worn multiple of times, car keys that he had insisted to replace when I lost mine in the past, and other petty things like that I refused to just give back. Commenter, taking responsibility for a special needs sibling is not for everyone, but you clearly have decided it's best for you. Good for you for being an awesome sister. It was very smart of you to leave him. You were clear about your plans from the start, and he should have never pursued a relationship with you if he wasn't comfortable with your sister being part of your lives. Stories number 10. Aita, for buying my granddaughter school supplies instead of paying towards my stepson's back child support. I've, 52F, married to my husband for 8 years. We both have adult children from previous relationships. My stepson is 31, is sort of shiftless in employment. He works sometimes, works for cash, works out of state on temporary jobs, etc. He has never worked a regular, steady job. He generally does odd jobs until he falls behind in all his bills. Then he takes a temporary job, usually construction, out of state. He'll hire on with a crew remodeling Walmarts or doing a plant turnaround, don't ask because I have no idea what that means, and make like $2,500 per week, but the job only lasts 4 to 6 weeks. He gets caught up on bills and goes back to doing odd jobs until he falls behind again. He has an 11-year-old that he sees sometimes, depending on his work schedule. He's $2,000 behind in child support and paying enough every month to keep it from getting turned over to enforcement. My granddaughter called me and asked me to buy her school stuff. I took her shopping and got her clothes, shoes, school jacket, PE uniform and supplies. My stepson was cleaning the pool, we pay him, when we got home and helped us unload the stuff from my car. After her mom picked her up, he approached me and asked how much I spent. I didn't keep track, so I didn't know right off. He was annoyed and said it had to be close to $1,000, which is half of what he owes in back child support. My stepson thinks I'm an AH because I didn't pay the money towards his back child support and let her mom take her shopping, because that's what child support is for. My husband has no opinion about it. I think his child support is his responsibility, and if I want to buy my granddaughter nicer things than her parents can afford, that's got nothing to do with him owning her basic support. Her mom appreciates that I buy things she can't afford to provide. She's used to the way he pays support, knows she can't count on it for monthly expenses but also knows she'll eventually get it and uses it for big, once-in-a-while expenses, like new tires for her car. Edited to add, my granddaughter is my stepson's biological daughter. She is not actually biologically related to me. She is the child he owes back child support for. Hubby, stepson and the in-laws all swear that they made multiple attempts to see granddaughter and her mother refused. Stepson's mother claims the same thing. I've never asked her mother about it because my goal is to have a relationship with my granddaughter. I really don't care who did what before I was involved. I just want to maintain friendly relations with her mom so I can take my granddaughter to the beach 2 states away for a long weekend whenever I want. The court is aware that he does odd jobs and he does report at least some of that income. He's ordered to pay $750 per month based on whatever he reported. He doesn't live with us. He owns a house which belonged to his mother's aunt. It was pretty run down when she died so he bought it for cheap from his mom, aunt and grandma. He's fixed it himself. He owns it outright with no mortgage. Stories number 11. My sister, 37F, accuses me, 22F, of favoring my nephew, 9M, over my niece, 9F. Background, I have 2 sisters, Anna, 38F, and Michelle, 37F, yes, I was a surprise baby. Michelle has 1 daughter, Lily, 9F. Anna and her husband had difficulty conceiving and adopted Ben, 9M, from foster care when he was 3. Anna later had 2 more sons, Gabriel, 5M, and Lucas, 2M. I enjoy spending time with my nibblings, but I do admit that Ben and I have more in common, comics, video games, etc., than Lily and I do. Recently, Ben got into Harry Potter. He has dyslexia, but he loves listening to the audiobook versions. I also love Harry Potter. For his 10th birthday, I am planning to take him to Universal Studios to see all the Harry Potter stuff. Recently, Michelle overheard me and Anna discussing this surprise. She was furious, accused me of favoritism, and demanded that I take Lily, too. Lily hates thrill rides and Harry Potter and would be miserable on the trip. I also don't want to spend all that money on someone who wouldn't enjoy it. When I took Ben and Lily to a local amusement park this summer, all Lily wanted to do was sit on a bench and watch YouTube. Michelle told me that if I don't take Lily, I should do something equally expensive for her 10th birthday, which is a month after Ben's. She then asked why I would want to spend time with Ben and that he is annoying. Ben does have some issues resulting from the abuse before he was adopted, separation anxiety, learning disability, and he acts a little immature sometimes, but Lily's not perfect either. She's whiny and doesn't really have interests outside of YouTube and clothes. Anna got mad at Michelle for dissing her kid, and now they're mad at each other. What should I do? The Universal trip is already paid for, and I don't think I have to, and can't afford to, give Lily an equally expensive present, as I'm still a student. TLDR. My sister thinks I am favoring my niece over my nephew and that I should get my niece an equally expensive birthday gift. ETA, I have already bought Lily an American Girl doll and a gift card to Justice to give to her on her birthday, both things she really wants. Relevant comments. Does Lily enjoy spending time with OOP? She used to enjoy doing things with me, but now she dislikes going anywhere without internet access because she gets bored. When we go to a movie, that Lily picked, she doesn't stay interested longer than 15 minutes before she says she's bored and wants to go home and watch YouTube. When all of us go to a restaurant with my parents, Lily cannot go more than 5 minutes without pulling out her iPad and watching videos. When I say she's whiny, I mean she always says she's bored after a few minutes of doing anything and wants her iPad someone's phone. I do enjoy going clothes shopping, and I tried doing that with her, but she was bored then, too. Also, she asks me to get her every single toy from the newest unboxing video she saw and then never touches the toys again. Top comment. Commenter 1. You don't have to do something equally expensive, but can you plan a day outing around her interests, so she has her day with you, too? I do think her mom is right that such blatant favoritism is going to be hurtful. I would try to find things to connect with her over, too. Update. Michelle sent me a text asking if I'd decided what I was doing about the birthday gifts. I texted her back that I don't think Lily would enjoy the trip and explained what happened at the local park. Michelle answered, "Why is everyone on Lily's case about YouTube? All kids enjoy electronics. First Ms. S and now you." Ms. S is Lily's teacher. This makes me think that this has become an issue at school. Michelle added, "I don't know why you enjoy Ben more than Lily, after all you're both girls and she's your only niece." Update. A lot of stuff went down yesterday. My parents took all 4 grandkids to a trampoline place, so Anna and Michelle and their husbands were over to pick them up and stay for dinner. After dinner, Anna announced that she's pregnant. I guess because of being over 35 she got this test called an NIPT and now she knows the baby's gender even though she's only 12 weeks. It's a girl. Anna wasn't supposed to be able to have any kids, so we were all happy for her. Except Michelle. Once the dads took the kids downstairs to play in the playroom my parents have set up there, Michelle went off. She said Anna went and took the only thing she has left being best at, having the only granddaughter. I was going to leave because I don't like being around when my sister fight, but then Michelle brought up the universal trip and Ben. She said that she knows it's wrong, but after Anna took having the oldest grandkid from her, she was at least happy that her kid had nothing wrong with her. Especially in the beginning, where Ben had a lot more issues and was really behind. He could barely talk when he was adopted. Now, Lily's teacher and other people, her friends' parents, are noticing that Lily might have attention problems. Apparently, the whole trip thing just was one thing too many. Even though she admitted that there's no reason for it and my parents have always treated us the same, Michelle said she's always felt competitive and second best to Anna. Now even I seem to like Anna's kid better. Anna was kind of shocked at all this. She did get a little mad when Michelle was talking about how Lily was better than Ben, but they ended up crying and hugging each other. I told Michelle I would return the American Girl doll and take a trip to the AG store, which is within reasonable driving distance of US, and let Lily pick it out herself. Michelle said she and her husband will start the process of getting Lily evaluated. TLDR. It wasn't just about the trip. Stories number 12. Aita making my brother cry and refusing family therapy. My parents let my brother, 14, get away with everything. They were always so different with him than me, 17, and it's not a girl thing, we're both guys. This is just some weird babying he can do nothing bad shit. They'll let him do shit to me and they expect me to be grown enough to not hold a grudge. Some examples of the shit and it starts from when we were really young. He broke a console our grandparents gave me for Christmas because he was jealous of me getting that when he got different stuff, which was all on his list and he hadn't asked for a console. My grandparents were pissed and my parents refused to replace it or anything. We were like 7 and 10. I had birthday cupcakes that my best friend and his dad made for me. My brother ate all of them before my parents let me have one since they made me wait for the weekend to eat them. We were 10 and 13. He stole a bunch of my school supplies because they were cooler and it was the night before school started. My parents let them keep them and I went into school with nothing. It was my first day of high school. And I went to school with none of the required supplies. I got into a world of shit from the teachers and my parents made me wait until the end of the week for them to replace them so I had nothing for a week of school. We were 10 and 14. He broke a school project I had just finished because he wanted to play with it. We were 13 and 16. That's only some examples but there are loads more. My parents say we can each have one assigned treat just for us but he can eat mine and face no consequences and they never replace them. An issue we had for years is they send my brother to whatever camp he wants to go to and mine are always rejected for being too expensive even though my brother's camp costs more. So last year I asked my parents if I saved would they let me go this year and they said I'd need to cover 100% of the cost but yes. So I worked my ass off since last summer to save and I had the money. Then my brother stole it. My parents had the money but he got into their room and stole it to buy a bunch of shit. No consequence was given to him but mine was I couldn't go and they got mad at me for losing my shit with the three of them. I turned on them and said they were crappy parents and I told them to fuck off and a bunch of other shit. Then I told my brother we weren't brothers anymore and I was done with him. That I was ignoring him and leaving ASAP and I hoped he was happy because he was nothing but a little shit and I wished he'd never been born. They treated it like a tantrum and believed nothing would change but I have refused to speak to all three of them. I avoid them. I go to school or work or I spend time at my best friend's house. My brother has tried talking to me and hanging out with me because I always gave in before and made time for him even after everything. Not this time. I have literally walked away when he tried to talk to me and I won't even look at him. And if I don't want to move I just ignore him. I do the same to my parents. My brother started crying a few days ago and he said he was sorry and he didn't want me to hate him. But I kept ignoring him and it pissed my parents off who asked if I enjoyed seeing him cry, was I proud of myself making him cry. Then I broke my ignoring them rule when they said we should all be in family therapy because I told them I would never go with them and it's too little too late and they suck as much as he does and my life will be better without them. Then I went quiet again. They tried to punish me but my lack of reaction made them stop. And they have brought it up again since but I ignore them and now they're back to being mad and saying the silent treatment is abusive to all three of them. My reason for refusing family therapy is I know they won't change and when I lost my shit on all of them I got everything off my chest that I wanted to and I don't want to make things better. I'm ready to be done. Once I'm 18 I'll be out of here and it doesn't matter if they genuinely want to change now because I hate all three of them and I don't want them as my family. Literally at this point I would be happy to never see them again, and my brother being 14 with room to grow changes nothing because I don't care that he's sorry now. He brings nothing good to my life. Stories number 13. Should I tell my sister what her husband said to me? For context, I work with my BAL and have known him for about 20 years, went to high school together. He and my sister, who I'm very close with, have been married about 11 years and have 2 children together. This morning, BL was chatting to me about social media, and how Instagram is just a bunch of hot chicks trying to get attention, his opinion. Then he casually mentions how Onlyfans is basically Instagram. He said he signed up for it to follow some random hot chick, but it turned out to be all the same stuff that was on her IG, and he was disappointed he would have to pay for more, so he deleted it. I straight up told him, I find it really odd that you're looking at other women and of at all when you're married to my sister. He responded that it was only the one time out of curiosity and that he didn't plan to do it again, and that in hindsight he should have used a burner account because of all the spam I get now. I got back to work and have been going about my day, but this conversation just isn't sitting right with me. I'm wondering if I should talk to my sister about it, but I also don't want to cause her any anxiety or hurt if it really was just this one instance of curiosity on his side. Any advice or different viewpoints could help me figure out what, if anything, I should do. Thank you. Edit. After all many very fast responses, maybe should have included more info. BIL are close enough that we have heart-to-heart conversations pretty regularly. He's referred to me as his sister and I do see him as a big brother. We sometimes butt heads due to having similar personalities, but we do have love for each other and I wouldn't want anything to ruin our whole family dynamic. I don't think he's stupid enough to tell me about his if he actually thought he was doing something wrong. However, I think it isn't sitting right with me because it sounded like there was some sort of message exchange with this chick. BL said, she said, here look at my pics, but they were the same as on IG if you don't pay. It's entirely possible that she didn't actually say anything to him and it was just written on her profile. I can't assume. BIL is a big talker and sometimes throws in details that are untrue or exaggerated. We are all in our late 30s and generally communicate like adults. There is no drama and I can talk to my sister about anything without things blowing up in my face. We could absolutely have a rational discussion about this. Edit 2. I didn't expect this to gain so much traction. The response seems to be pretty split. For those of you calling me a prude, zealot, or being assholes about dudes watch porn, FFS, please refer to rule number 1 of this subreddit. It's no secret that my BL watches porn, my sister is aware, I've watched porn myself. In my personal opinion, feels different from just porn in the sense that you're pursuing content directly from a specific person and can exchange messages. It just feels a bit inappropriate to me for a married man. And the fact that BL said he deleted it and shouldn't have done it in the first place would indicate to me that he, at least somewhat, agrees. I'm going to have a grown-up conversation with BL to clear everything up. Thank you to all who provided sane and not rude actual advice. One last edit. I had a chat with my husband this morning, which started with me simply asking whether he thought of was just porn. He grimaced and said no, he thinks it's worse than porn for the same reasons I stated above. I told him about what BL said and asked if I should be worried about this. He said no. He and BL are close friends, that's actually how husband and I met. I asked if he would let me know if BL seemed to be doing anything shady. He said yes. I trust my husband. I came to Reddit originally because I didn't want to involve anyone in our actual lives until I had some more perspective. Your advice definitely offered a lot of insight and made me feel like I could bounce this one off my husband without stressing too much about repercussions. If it comes up naturally again with either my sister or BIL, I will likely say something. Until then, I'm keeping my mouth shut and my eyes open. Stories number 14. Aita for not chipping in for a Gucci bag or a €3,000 birthday dinner I didn't plan. I, 29F, and my husband, 35M, are part of a close group of friends. We're all in our late 20s to mid-30s, most of us are married or in serious relationships, and we usually celebrate birthdays together. The usual setup has always been that the birthday person hosts and pays for everyone. But about a year ago, this weird new tradition started. For each birthday, someone opens a WhatsApp group and says, let's all chip in for this really expensive gift. We're talking about things like Hermes flip-flops, Formula One tickets, Gucci bags. It's all very public and a bit uncomfortable to say no. My husband and I have always gone along with it, even though it's felt a bit much at times. For example, we paid around €300 towards a €1,500 Formula One ticket for my husband's best friend, let's call him Tom. At the time, it felt okay. But now things are different. We're already parents to one child, we're trying for a second, and we just opened a new business which we fully funded from our own savings. Everyone in the group knows this, including Tom. We're doing fine financially, but we're definitely being more careful. These expensive group gifts are not something we feel comfortable doing anymore. A few weeks ago it was my husband's birthday. One of the friends asked if I was going to open a WhatsApp group for a gift. I said no. My husband didn't want anything. We hosted everyone for a pool party, paid for everything ourselves, and were happy to do it. For the record, Tom gave my husband a nice bottle of tequila worth around €100. We appreciated it. I'm not complaining at all. I've never judged or compared gifts, and I've been genuinely grateful for every single one, no matter the price. 2 weeks later, it was Tom's girlfriend's birthday. He opened a group chat and said she would like a Gucci bag. I told my husband I didn't want to participate in this one. He agreed. We didn't reply in the group, but we bought her a €120 massage voucher as a gift. Her birthday was held at a really fancy and expensive beach restaurant. We went, enjoyed the event, had fun and made sure the birthday girl had a blast. A few days later, Tom wrote in the group that the bill was €3,000 and said that if anyone would like to contribute, they could. I told my husband I didn't want to chip in. We didn't choose the place. We gave her a gift. And again, we're being more mindful about money right now. He obviously agreed. Then Tom messaged my husband privately and said he expected us to help with the dinner bill since we didn't join the group gift. He said our €100 gift wasn't enough, brought up the fact that we had always participated before, including for his Formula 1 ticket, and said we were being jerks for not pitching in at all this time. I honestly don't understand it. I've never once complained about the gifts we got. I've always been thankful. But suddenly we're being labeled as the rude ones just because we made a different choice this time based on our current situation. TLDR, our friend group does expensive group gifts and dinners for birthdays. We used to join in, but now that we have a kid, are trying for a second, and just opened a self-funded business, we're being more careful. We didn't pitch in for a Gucci bag or a €3,000 dinner at one friend's girlfriend's birthday. Gave a €100 gift instead. Now we're being called jerks. Update, AITA for not chipping in for a Gucci bag or a €3,000 birthday dinner I didn't plan. Hi everyone, I posted parts of this update in the comments of my original post, but I thought it would be better to collect everything into one proper update so it's clear and complete. After reading the comments, my husband and I realized we hadn't been as clear with our friend group as we should have been. So we wrote a respectful message in our group chat with everyone. Hi guys, first of all, we love you all. Just wanted to say we're no longer participating in the group gift tradition. With our growing family and the new business, we're trying to be more mindful with money. We'll always celebrate you in our own way. Thanks for understanding. Most people responded kindly and said they completely understood. Then one couple reached out to us privately and told us they're currently going through IVF. They said they've been feeling very uncomfortable with the pressure of the group gift tradition but didn't want anyone to know what they were going through. They were afraid that if they opted out, people would ask questions. They were really relieved we spoke up. We also spoke to everyone else individually. Aside from Tom, his girlfriend, and one other couple, everyone was glad to stop the expensive gift tradition. That one other couple preferred the group gifts because they found them more convenient, but they weren't upset at all and didn't cause any drama. They just said they'll go along with whatever the group decides. Tom and his girlfriend, though, didn't take it so well. Yesterday, Tom texted my husband saying our message in the group chat felt passive-aggressive and like we were throwing shade at him. His girlfriend messaged me and said we should have just told her privately that we don't have the money, instead of announcing it in front of everyone. She was upset that now the tradition was over. I tried to keep it light and said, no problem, my birthday's coming up and I want a trip to Thailand for my whole family. She didn't respond. To make sure there were no hard feelings, we also sent Tom €200 to cover our share of the food and drinks from his girlfriend's birthday dinner. Then today, we spoke with them again, and things got even more frustrating. They told us that our decision not to do any group gift, or any gift at all, for my husband's birthday came off as condescending and inconsiderate, as if we're better than them for not wanting gifts. Apparently, it made life harder for everyone. That was never our intention. We just genuinely didn't want anything and were happy to host and celebrate without gifts. As a group, we've now all agreed to go back to the old tradition, the birthday person hosts everyone. When we were younger, that usually meant breakfast, lunch, or dinner at home, nothing over the top. It felt more personal and less stressful, and everyone seems happier going back to that. Lastly, my husband and I have decided to take a step back from Tom. This whole situation made it clear that a lot of people in the group feel like they can't say anything around him without him getting offended. We're not angry, just tired. We want to enjoy our friendships without walking on eggshells. Thanks again to everyone who commented on the original post. You helped us see that we weren't crazy for feeling the way we did. In the end, we think this reset was needed, for us and for the group. Info, we're a group of 5 couples. TL, we chipped in for the meal, made ourselves clear, and, almost, everyone is happy. Stories number 15. Aita for not wanting my husband to go on a boys' trip while I'm at home with our newborn. TLDR, my husband, who's really great in general, wants to go on a boys' trip with his brother while we have a newborn at home and I'm going back to work. So, my husband, 34M, and I, 28F, just had a baby boy. He's amazing, precious, and very gassy at times. I had a C-section, not by choice, and am still recovering. Baby boy is about 2 weeks old. My husband is great, he shares all the responsibilities with me, supports me postpartum, and really makes sure baby boy and I are happy and healthy. The thing is, my husband hasn't worked for a while now and I'm the sole provider at the moment. His dad passed away about 2 months ago and he had to leave me when I was 9 months pregnant. His family lives in a different country, for 3 weeks because none of his siblings wanted to manage everything around his dad's passing away. He stopped working when he left and hasn't gotten back to it since. We have talked about it and he will get back to work in the near future, a month or so. I worked until the day I gave birth. I own a small business and need to get back to partial work in a few days. I will have to get back to full-time in about 3 weeks. Now, my husband has a brother that isn't the best family guy. He provides very little for his family, has 5 kids he often leaves his wife alone with, only helps to babysit, sometimes and in general isn't really there unless it has to do with keeping the kids alive at max. My husband's brother won some football tickets about 6 months ago and invited my husband and his dad to go with. My husband had to pay for his submission to that contest though. Now that my FIL passed away, my husband's brother wants them both to go to that football game abroad and stay for 4 days. My husband doesn't just want to go, he made it a fact, and says his brother said this would be a trip in memory of their father. How I'll do 4 days with baby boy alone at home. He will be 5 weeks old and I will be freshly back to work. My mom will be able to help but I can't just leave the kid with her at this stage. I told my husband there's no way he's leaving and now he is mad at me and says he will be going anyway and I'm an asshole for not understanding him. I will say, before their father died, I still did the same thing, I'll have a newborn at home and won't want him to leave. This has been known for over 6 months now. Stories number 16. Aita for not wanting to get rid of my dog for my pregnant sister. So my, 15M, dad died not that long ago. It'll be 6 months next week. My mom moved us out of our house cause she said it hurt her too much to be there and now we're living in this new house for 2 months now and I hate it. Last month my 20-year sister told us she's pregnant so now her and my mom are getting ready for a baby in the house. TBH I'm not really excited like them but I thought whatever. Until yesterday, my sister told me I have to get rid of my dog before the baby comes. I asked her why and she said because dogs are bad for pregnant women and newborns babies because they carry germs and parasites. I told her that's not true, I always bathe my dog, he has all his shots and we take him to the vet regularly. He's also been around lots of babies before and he's super friendly to them so he can't be a danger to her baby. My sister got mad so she got my mom involved. She told my mom I was being a brat and that I don't care that I'm poisoning her baby. I told my mom I didn't want to get rid of my dog. My dad bought him for me as a puppy on my 9th birthday. There's been lots of changes these months. Losing my dad, us moving and now getting ready for a new baby. My dog is the last connection to my dad. My mom's not home much neither is my sister so I feel like all I have is my dog. I explained to my mom why I don't want to get rid of him. She said she understands he's important to me, but I need to stop thinking about myself and consider my baby niece or nephew. I said I don't even believe my dog is bad for my sister's pregnancy. She never liked him since dad bought him and I feel like she's using this to get him out of our house. My mom said she isn't gonna force me to get rid of him and she'll leave it up to me. My sister's been mad at since and keeps making comments about how she hopes me taking my sweet time deciding what to do won't damage her baby. They're both expecting me to do the right thing, but I don't know if I want to. Does that make me bad? Aita because I want to keep my dog. P.S. My dog avoids my sister because she treats him bad if he's close so it's not like he'll be all over her. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. NTA, please do not get rid of the dog your dad got you. Your sister is being selfish and dramatic. The dog can't harm her child. Make sure you demonstrate that you're a good dog owner, clean up after them, take for walks etc. Make sure they are cared for well, entertained and microchipped in case they suddenly become lost due to your sister. You've gone through significant trauma. Heartbreaking loss at a young age. Your dog is your family. Millions of people across the world have dogs and kids, in fact most dog owners have family. Put simply, it's not an issue. Your sister is being uncaring and manipulative. Don't get rid of the dog based on her lies. Don't let them bully you. The right thing is to honor your dad's memory by giving that dog a great life with the person he bought the dog for. That's you. I hope you're okay. Stay strong. Feel free to DM me if you need to vent. Reply, I've always done my best to prove myself as a good owner. That was my dad's condition if I wanted to have a dog of my own and learn to be responsible for him. He made sure I was the one doing the walks, cleaning after him, giving baths, feeding him every day, etc. No one else does it. Yeah, he got out once and my dad got him chipped after that, and thanks, I appreciate that. My mom hasn't talked to me much, so it has felt like I haven't been able to say anything to anyone. Commenter 2. Children that grow up around animals have stronger immune systems. You can look up information about that and share it with her. NTA. You should get to keep your dog. Your sister is an adult and is soon going to be a mom. If she doesn't want to live with the dog, she should find her own apartment. You just lost your dad in your home. It's not right to take the dog away too. I did the googling for you. Immune system. Recent studies in pediatric health have concluded that children who lived with pets, but especially dogs, during their first year of life actually had a better immune system than those who did not. Kids and pets. Scientists have found that kids who grow up around dogs are 50% less likely to develop allergies and asthma than those who grow up without a dog. Once again, this is attributed to the fact that a child growing up around a dog will have a much sturdier immune system. All puppy dog owners have healthier hearts. Reply, thanks. You didn't have to, but I really appreciate it. It'll be hard for her to argue over facts. Still, don't think she even believes they are bad for babies, but at least she can't use that as an excuse. This is really helpful. Can someone else take the dog? We don't have any family that could him, but even if we did, I still don't think I can handle him being away from me. I'm not trying to make this hard on her on purpose or hurt her baby. It just doesn't feel fair. I really don't want to be the bad guy here. Can the sister stay with the baby's father? She was dating a security guy for a couple months before they broke up, but she was also going out with some other guy I never met. She doesn't care about if this hurts her baby. I talked to her about everything people here told me and she said it doesn't matter anyways. She doesn't want him here because she's uncomfortable. My sister changed her story now about it being cause she was worried for her baby's health. She's still yelling at my mom trying to get her to convince me to give him away cause I already told them he's not going anywhere. Update. I forgot a lot of people wanted an update on what happened after my post. Sorry it took me so long. I read lots of people's comments to this and I was really happy to know that I wasn't hurting my sister or her baby by having my dog around. A lot of you sent me some good info. I decided to show what some of you commented to my mom and sis as proof that my dog isn't bad since she was so worried. Also told my mom I'm not gonna get rid of my dog because he means too much to me and that would hurt him too. My mom agreed with me more after showing her the info and said my dog doesn't have to go anywhere. My sister seemed more mad after, not just because of the info but that I told a bunch of strangers our business. She didn't see the post though. My sister still kept pushing to get rid of him because she doesn't want to be around him while she's living there. My mom and her ended up having a big fight over it. There was lots of yelling and arguing for days until finally my sister said she's leaving unless we get rid of him. She said it like a threat, I guess, because she thought that would make my mom make me give him away. My mom didn't want her to leave, but that's what she ended up doing because I wouldn't give up my dog. For months it's been like this. She moved in with one of her best friends I think, but she doesn't want to talk to my mom at all. For a long time my mom was even more sad and that actually made me start to feel guilty again because it seemed like this was all my fault. Things weren't good for a while. My mom was talking to me less and felt like we were strangers living together instead of family. But she said it wasn't my fault what happened, so it's not that she was mad at me for my sister leaving. She was just sad about everything and that made her not talk or be around me. Finally after months mom and me are talking better again and she's actually spending little more time with me. It's still not the same anymore though. My sister still hasn't called us and when she's due, but it should be really soon. Everything didn't happen the way I hoped it would, but I'm happy to still have my dog around. He helped me deal with everything. Thank you everyone for showing me I made the right decision keeping him. You guys made it easier to give them all this info about how wrong my sister was about dogs affecting pregnancy and showed me I wasn't doing anything bad for wanting to keep the last connection I have to my dad. He's still here by my side and I'm grateful for all the support. Final comments. Commenter 1. Your sister has the choice to do her own research on dogs bringing harm to babies. She has a choice to do what she believes it's best for her and the baby, no matter how unreasonable it may seem to us outsiders. While I'm not the biggest fan of your sister from your original post and this update, but I'm also glad she has somewhere to stay for now instead of upping and leaving in the heat of the moment with nowhere to go. It's not your fault this happened. I'm happy you're keeping the precious dog and your mom understanding the situation. Maybe it's the hormones or something else entirely, but I'm curious as to why your sister is so adamant about her position to the point of saying with a friend instead of home. Reply, she just never liked my dog. Stories number 17. Wibta, if I don't remind my wife it's my birthday. Reposted here from Aita because it got deleted due to having something to do with a relationship. I've been married for 6 years and I love my wife dearly. However, there's been a disconnect between us. I feel like I'm more invested in our relationship than she is. I'm always the first to apologize when we argue, always the one to press issues so we can talk, and the one who typically bends so we can find balance. Today is my birthday and so far it's like she has no idea. We went through the normal motions this morning, talked about our day, and she asked if we can grab takeout tonight from her favorite place, so she's clearly forgot. I'm not someone who makes a big deal about things like birthdays, but also I guess I'd like to have it acknowledged. I'd like that reassurance that I matter to people. I mean, I feel kinda invisible in my own life sometimes and I just want to know people care. I guess I'd like to know if I'm a priority to her. To see if she even would acknowledge my birthday if I don't prompt her. I mean, I took her out for hers, got her gifts she loved, etc. I'm just curious if I would even hear the 2 words if I didn't say anything. Wibta, if I continue to go through today without telling her. Update, Wibta, for not reminding my wife it's my birthday. So yesterday was my birthday and I was under the impression that my wife had forgotten. I got all up in my head questioning a lot of things in our marriage. My wife had earlier mentioned getting fast food from one of her favorite places and it made me think that my birthday wasn't even on her radar. Well, following the advice I received, I didn't say anything to her. I went to pick her up from work and give her her keys. We're at one car between us because mine is in the shop, and everything played out as normal. However, instead of going to Crushed Red like she had mentioned, we pulled up at my favorite Mexican restaurant that we only go to on special occasions. Over the course of one massive burrito and some deep margaritas we got to talking. She said it was really hard to not say anything, but she wanted to surprise me. I told her how I had felt and she was immediately apologetic. She blamed herself and I told her she had nothing to apologize for. She was trying to surprise me and I could have remedied everything by just communicating. We talked about our relationship a bit and had a good night. She asked me what I'd like to do and I just wanted a simple night, so we went home and watched a movie together I'd been trying to get her to see, The Raid, Redemption, which she actually really liked. All in all, it was a good night and a lot of my fears were misguided. I felt like I owed you guys an update after so many of you reached out yesterday. Hope you all have a good day. Stories number 18. Aita, for refusing to let my friend use my car after she basically hijacked it for 3 months and now blames me for almost losing her job. I honestly can't believe I'm even writing this because it sounds so ridiculous when I type it out. So, a few months ago, my friend, let's call her Anna, not her real name, she was in a really tough spot. She lost her car, didn't have savings, and was at risk of losing her job since she had no way to get there. Out of pure kindness, and maybe stupidity on my part, I offered to let her borrow my car for a few days while she figured things out. Well, a few days turned into 3 freaking months. She basically started treating my car like it was hers. She would take it every single day to work, keep it for hours afterward to run errands, and sometimes even leave trash inside. She never once offered to pay for gas, oil changes, or any maintenance. I tried hinting, but she would always say, "Oh, I'm broke right now," or just ignore it completely. It got to a point where I had to ask permission to use my own car. Once, I had an important appointment, and she got mad at me because I inconvenienced her schedule by needing my own car. I was literally paying for gas that she used up, and she didn't even have the decency to top it off once. Finally, I snapped. I told her she couldn't borrow it anymore, that I was done being taken advantage of, and that she needed to figure out another way to get to work. I said this as nicely as possible but firmly. She completely lost it. She started screaming at me, saying I was ruining her life and sabotaging her future. She claims she has no way to get to work now except taking the bus, and that she's been over an hour late every day since I selfishly took back my car. She even had the nerve to tell me that it's my fault she's been getting written up at work and is now at risk of getting fired. Now she's guilt-tripping me non-stop. She's texting me at all hours, saying she can't believe I'd do this to a friend, that I'm heartless, and that I owe her more support after everything she's been through. On top of that, some mutual friends are taking her side, saying I should have at least given her more warning or helped her find a new solution first. I genuinely feel bad that she's struggling, but at the same time, I feel like she massively crossed a line and took advantage of me for months. I never agreed to be her personal free Uber, so Aita, for finally saying enough is enough and taking my car back, even if it means she might lose her job. Or should I have done more to help her transition? I honestly feel so conflicted but also kind of furious. Would love to hear if I'm totally out of line or if anyone else has dealt with something like this. Stories number 19. I, 26F, want to end a 10-year-long friendship with my best friend, 25F, over a stick. I, 26F, have been friends with Abigail, 25F, for several years. We had meet freshman year, and we hit it off, but for the rest of high school she was homeschooled. I meet my now fiancé, 27M, also in high school, and eventually introduced his best friend Robert, 26M, to Abigail. Robert and Abigail started dating, and so we formed a small group and would always hang out together. We all liked to go hiking and often would look at hiking gear together and go on trails together. A couple weeks ago Robert got a walking stick. He had placed it in his car and noticed that the car door was open. He drove up to me and asked me to close the door. While driving up to me, I was facing the front of the car and could not see what was blocking the car door. I just shut it without looking like he asked me to. He started screaming, telling me that his new walking stick was now broken, that I snapped it in half. I started crying and apologizing profusely, telling him I was so sorry that I wasn't paying attention. I just went to close the door. I didn't even see it in there, but that wasn't good enough for him. Later that day he texted me and asked me to reimburse him. I told him that I could give him a 10, but that was all. He told me that 10 was all it was worth, but I need to give him 50 for the trouble. I was blown away by this, and I made the mistake of telling him the date of my payday. And when that day arrived I had forgotten all about the stick and had taken a nap after school and work. I woke up to countless text messages and multiple group chats of him telling me to pay up and that it was my payday. I then texted him directly and asked for his information, and he decided to tell me that it was okay, that I didn't actually have to pay him back. After he made a fool of me in front of all of my friends in every group chat that I was in with him, I still paid. Flash forward to yesterday, my fiancé, Robert, and Abigail all decide that they want to go hiking on a trail that is more dangerous than what we normally do. I decide to stay home, so the rest of the story will be a mix of what Abigail and my fiancé told me. Abigail decided to buy a $100 fancy walking stick and wanted to test it out on the trail. I joked with her before going on the trail that the trail being known for being more intense. It might not be the best idea, but she didn't take my comments seriously and I was just joking too. Hours pass and I get a phone call from my fiancé, telling me that he was on the way home and Robert in the back screaming, "You break it, you buy it, you break it, you buy it." Apparently on the trail, Abigail's stick got stuck in a rock, and while the boys kept pushing ahead, she pulled it out and it snapped in order to catch up to them. Abigail says that if my fiancé wasn't going so fast that it wouldn't have happened, and blamed him for breaking it. Robert obviously took Abigail's side and for the rest of the hike hounded on my fiancé for the payment. My fiancé and I are both in college and I between jobs and do not have $100 to throw away on a high-end walking stick. They both know this, and that night Abigail texted my fiancé a screenshot of the walking stick, circled the price and wrote in, "I know money is hard right now, but I need my stick, so I'm going to order it tonight and you can pay me back as soon as you get the chance." Abigail and Robert both have stable jobs and are not in college. I got mad and told them that my fiancé would not be paying for something that he didn't break, and Abigail shouldn't have even brought the stick on that trail. They were pissed and texted us endlessly saying that we were in debt to them and that we owe them and it was only right to pay them back. I think what pissed me off the most is that all through the years every time we went somewhere I drove and paid for gas, I paid for dinners, I paid for movie tickets and outdoor activities, and they never once paid me back for any of it. I never even thought to ask them to, and here they are yelling at us to pay up and we're being ridiculous. Time and time again they both have put money before friendship. Do I put this behind me and just pay them? Or do I leave? Top comments. Commenter 1, the logistics of this situation don't make sense. He drove up to her with the door open and asked her to close the door for him. Wah. 1. Did he throw the walking stick in the back seat with the door already open? Did he know the stick was blocking the door? Why did he not warn her about the stick when asking her to close the door? 2. Is it possible to drive with the door open on new cars? There must be a whole bunch of alarms going off, right? 3. He really asked someone else to close the door for him. What a lazy piece of trash. Get your ass up, walk the all of 5 feet, and close your own damn door. Reply, hi. Okay, so, the trail has a small little gravel loop that you're technically not supposed to park on, but he did it anyways. Robert and my fiancé were talking when he put the stick in, so when he closed the door it didn't fully shut. He has an older car, but I also don't think he was paying much attention, but when he started driving the car did start beeping at him that the door wasn't shut. He did the gravel loop to pull out and saw that I was walking towards the car loop when he stopped and asked me to shut it. I do admit I wasn't paying attention, so I just opened the door and reshut it a bit hard to make sure the door shut, but in doing that the stick snapped. That's when he started to make a fuss that it had broke. In my defense, he has a lot of tint on his windows and he didn't mention the stick was blocking the door. Commenter 2, not sure if I'm misinterpreting, but did you pay $50 for a $10 stick for the trouble? Reply, sorry for the misunderstanding. In short, I did only end up paying the 10, so when he texted about the payment I told him that I could give him a 10 right then and there. He then said that it really only costed 10 but 50 would be nice for the trouble, then asked how I knew that it was really only $10. I told him that 10 was all I had till the 20th, my payday, and he said that I could keep it till then, that he understood my money struggles. I assumed he was being nice, so on the 20th when he flipped out in all the group chats and I texted him I still only sent him the $10. Now looking back on it I really do feel like he was expecting the 50 and that was why he said I could wait till I got paid. Commenter 3, 2 nut jobs found each other and formed a personality from hell. Please stop interacting with them. They are so toxic to you and your fiancé. Sometimes we meet others who use us. This is what happened to you. But bye and don't let the door hit you. And say this ASAP. Commenter 4, guys, this feels like a setup. Hey, I'm just siding in my car, can you come close the door for me? You broke my stick in the door, give me money. That's a con. A scam. Right? He did it on purpose to make her give him money. Then her friend got a new stick. $100 she says. Then when it's convenient and she needs to catch up it breaks. This feels like they are both working together to get money out of you both. Not sure why. But that's a lot of convenient situations that need compensation. Update. I would like to clear some things up, as many of you guessed the situation wasn't truly about sticks. At the time I was younger and wanted to get the point across without giving explicit details that if Robert and Abigail saw this they wouldn't immediately know it was about them. I was really talking about fishing rods, however, the situation stand the same. Instead of hiking stick on a rocky trail, we were fishing on a prone to sinking boat. If you have any additional questions, I'd be happy to clear those up, I'm not scared of them finding this anymore. Now for the update. I'm happy to let you guys know that I dropped those scammers. We never did pay Abigail the money she requested. We didn't break it, so we didn't buy it. Although, sometimes I do feel some unexplained guilt towards the situation. Like I said, our friendship was over 10 years long, so it wasn't easy or immediate to drop her from my life, but it was needed. We still follow each other on Instagram, but it's rare we interact. I'm sorry for no explosive situation, but I'm glad you all helped me come to terms with leaving that relationship in the past. My fiancé, however, hasn't easily gotten rid of Robert. After moving into the real world, Robert followed my fiancé everywhere it felt. He applied for the same job, works for the same company, and copies every move my fiancé makes. He laughs it off and lets it go, but every now and then I'm reminded of this situation and I get annoyed all over again. But to give my fiancé some credit, we all aren't as close as we once were. TLDR, we never paid them the money they requested, and after 2 long years, I can officially say that I have dropped them from my life. Stories number 20. Aita for backing out at the last minute, because I didn't want to sleep on an air mattress. I, 27F, and 3 friends made a last-minute plan to go to the mountains this weekend. Our group is a couple, let's call them J, 27F, and Sam, 32F, and 2 single friends, me and Alex, 26M. We actually found a good Airbnb at first. It had 2 bedrooms, one with a king bed, and one with 2 single beds. Alex and I were totally fine sharing the second room as long as we had our own bed. But Jay kept saying that she wanted a pool. This is a short, 2-day trip and we're staying just 1 night. I really didn't see why a pool was a big deal. We kept going back and forth trying to decide and the place got booked by someone else. After that, the only places we could find had just 1 bedroom, a pull-out couch, and an air mattress. Alex is recovering from an injury, so of course he shouldn't be on the air mattress. The couple immediately said they wanted the bedroom, but they're not offering to pay more for it. That leaves me with the air mattress. Jay and Sam both don't have a driver's license, and Alex can't drive right now because of his injury. So I'm the only one who can drive us there and back. On top of that, I'm also the only one who has to work on Monday. I really don't want to be the one driving for hours, sleeping on an air mattress, and then dragging myself to work the next day all tired and sore. I genuinely hate sleeping on an air mattress. I always sleep like shit and it just hurts my neck. So, I told them I was backing out. I told them that if they really want to do a trip like this, they need to plan it better so that everyone is comfortable. Alex and Sam seemed to understand, but Jay got annoyed. She said I was being a party pooper, that I was being selfish, and that I was ruining the weekend. She told me I should just adjust so we could all have fun. For a moment, I really did think I was overreacting cause it's just 1 night, and going to the mountains would be super fun. But honestly, it doesn't feel fair that I have the worst sleeping arrangement, and still get labeled as the problem. So, Aita for backing out last minute, because I didn't want to sleep on an air mattress. Update, Aita for backing out last minute, because I didn't want to sleep on an air mattress. Thanks to everyone who replied to my original post. Your responses really helped me feel like I wasn't crazy for feeling frustrated. Unfortunately, I had to go on the trip because I couldn't cancel the Airbnb. Now that the trip is, finally, over, I wanted to post a quick update. For a bit more context, I moved to a new city last year and I've been friends with these people for a little over a year. So I haven't known these people for a very long time. But we've gone out drinking, grabbed food, gone to the movies a few times. They've always seemed pretty chill, which is why I thought it wouldn't be a bad idea to do a short trip with them. Turns out, I was very wrong. Now on to the actual update. I had already booked everything before the whole sleeping arrangement argument, my bad, I know. I just had to do it quickly because it was the 4th of July weekend, the Airbnb, the gondola tickets, shuttle tickets, even prepaid parking. After realizing the Airbnb couldn't be cancelled, I figured I'd just go anyway. I even messaged the host to ask if she could help us with another mattress or something. She said the pull-out couch would be big enough for 2 people and just looked small in the photos. At that point, Sam and Jay still wouldn't budge, so I told myself I'd just suck it up and deal with it for one night. We were supposed to leave early Saturday morning. They were supposed to show up at my place by 5:30 a.m. so we could leave by 6. All of them only reached around 7:15 to 7:30, so we ended up starting the drive late. We only got to the town around 1 p.m. Then they took 2 hours to eat lunch and because of that, we missed our shuttle to the gondola. When I suggested we just do a short hike instead, they said they were too tired and just wanted to get drinks at the local bar. Since I refused to drive them to the bar, they got it delivered. And they stayed up drinking on the couch, aka my bed for the night, and didn't let me sleep until 2 a.m. They got absolutely wasted and told me they weren't going to the lake the next morning and then passed out on the couch floor. I did get the bed but at what cost, lol. I woke up at around 7 a.m. to cancel our shuttle tickets and started cleaning up the Airbnb before our 11 a.m. checkout. They didn't wake up until 10:30, and I had to beg them to get dressed so we could check out on time. I was so done at this point, so I drove them all back to Alex's place and went home. So we did absolutely nothing on the trip except take a 16-minute gondola ride up and down a mountain. No one has paid me back for anything. Not for the Airbnb, not for the gas, not even for the tickets. You were all right. I was just the driver and just someone who helped make their trip cheaper. I don't think I'm going to be hanging out with these people anymore. I'll wait to get my money back, if I ever do, and then I'm done. It feels kind of sad because these were some of the first friends I made since moving to this city, but honestly, life's too short to spend time around selfish, inconsiderate people. Deep down, I already knew this trip would be a mess, but I had to learn it the hard way, I guess. Hopefully next time I'll spot people like this a little earlier. Lesson learned. Edit, added a few words for clarity. Edit 2, Sam and Alex just sent me their share. Jay still hasn't, but Sam said she'll cover for her if she doesn't pay by Saturday. I've been going through all your comments and yeah, I was definitely being a doormat. They've never acted like this before, so I didn't see it coming. I've never really been surrounded by friends like this, or I've always managed to cut them off before it got this bad. I'm definitely going to stand up for myself more from now on. Thanks guys. Stories number 21. My husband is cheating on me but I don't know if I can blame him. I'm 35F and he's 37M. We have 2 adorable children aged 5 and 9. Been married for 12 years. Within these 12 years, we've lost many of our relatives, friends, lost ourselves, grew together. I wanted to enhance my career and my husband helped me tremendously for that. He sold his business to help the kids while I worked my job. It also helped us pay off our house loan too. He became a full-time stay-home dad while I worked outside. It was rough for me too, having to work in a male-dominated workforce while ensuring everything is okay. Without him, I couldn't have done this. I've lost both of my parents in 2020 and 2021 respectively, and he lost his mother in 2021. Both of us were depressed combined with him not being able to vent out. I am an extrovert and had a lot of friends to talk to but he didn't. During October he met a single mom from our kids' school, and they began chatting casually. Let's call her S in this post. I began to spend more and more time outside for job and venting out to friends. It was like a drug to me. I forgot the fact that I was neglecting someone and that someone is my husband. I denied him sex. At times I used to belittle him and argue. There were a lot going on my mind at that time, coupled with the fact I lost my parents, was depressed, was in too deep an adrenaline rush. In December, it was our 5's birthday, but I had an urgent meeting. I know many of you are going to hate me for this, but I am looking at a promotion this year and I really needed to visit that meeting. I wrapped up my meeting and was heading home when I got to know one of my friends had an accident and I was needed. I drove there and was late for my child's birthday. That night we got into a huge argument where he talked about I needed to get off about my parents. I yelled back at him and said very hurtful things. I told him he needed to man up because I was the one earning. It threw him off a little bit and he stormed out of house. He returned next day, we both apologized to each other, ultimately deciding to give us another shot. It was the first time we were intimate in months. He told me he loved me. Christmas week, the guy who had an accident passes away. I was devastated because he was a childhood friend of mine. It plunged me further into depression. My husband wanted me to help but I yelled at him again. New Year, I ruined his and our children's because of my stupid action, which was to hang out with a friend of mine who returned back to the country after 3 years. I ended up spending the night at her place. First week of January, I see him being distant and on January 8th, he gives me the divorce papers. Blindsiding me. I asked why. He told me he doesn't know who I am. I was not the person he thought I was. I changed and for worse. I don't ever talk to him, true, we weren't intimate, true, I belittle him in every step even though the sacrifices he made led us here, true, he wants someone to grow old together, not someone who yells at him and demeans him, neglects family, true, he wants us to go separate ways so we can both be happy, he doesn't think I'm happy, lie, he's tired to being a doormat and me making him feel insecure, lie. I never told anything that would hurt him, I made a mistake because I was stressed out and yelled at him. It was awful for him and me too. I wasn't the person who I used to be. Then he told me the truth of wanting a divorce. The day we got into an argument, our kid's birthday, he stormed out and went to S's house. They slept together. He confessed they both have feelings for each other, and it was the only time they did. He offered me his phone, passwords, accounts, everything. It was an emotional connection that turned physical just once. He told me he was broken and she mended him. Told me he is sorry but he has a right for happiness too. I told him I want to work on us. Do couples therapy and quit my job. I love this man, but he's done. He told me he will move out, I can keep the house. Had I been a good spouse and partner to him, it wouldn't have happened. It's a dead end for us. I love him. But I need to let him go for his own happiness. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. He's done with you. Once those papers get swerved, that means it's over, and he also found someone new. This comment has been downvoted. He told me he will be dating S after divorce, but they're NC now. Commenter 2. I'm sorry to hear your situation, but I'm also glad you acknowledge it. It sounds to me that you've accepted it for what it is. Many people would still fight for their relationship, but this one is way beyond saving and is dead in the water. The incompatibility now is too huge to cross. Choosing to let go in this scenario is the mature option, and yes, it hurts a hell of a lot, but I swear one day you'll find happiness again. Reply. I'm letting go of my happiness. I don't blame him for anything. Even for committing adultery. I was so focused on myself that I forgot I had a partner to share my happiness and sadness to. He sacrificed his ambition, business and life to build mine and I destroyed him. I love him a lot but there is no saving it. He deserves happiness too. Commenter 3. You can't fix this, but you can be a better mother to your kids. Work on that, and try to at least be friends with your ex. I'm really sorry things ended this way, but you seem to have the right attitude. Own this and salvage what you can. You seem very driven for a career, so now is your chance to really focus on that. Reply. Yes, he has hurt me with cheating but I drove him to that point. I made my bed. Commenter 4. But I need to let him go for his own happiness. And yours. This is your opportunity to grow. To be better. To learn how to be a better partner for future relationships. And how to be a better parent now. This is your chance to grieve for those you've lost and decide on the future you want. A wake-up call can both be devastating and liberating. He told me he was broken and she mended him. People can't mend other people. That's faulty logic. She was a crutch for him when your marriage was struggling, but to rely on her to fix him will hurt both of them. Reply. You're right. This is an opportunity for both of us. I was the cause of his cheating and he is the effect of my negligence. I could have been a better spouse but I neglected him, withheld intimacy from him and verbally abused him multiple times. It was wrongful of me. I'm glad we are doing this and he can choose his own happiness. He's a wonderful man. Update. I signed the divorce papers. We are going ahead with divorce. Backstory is in my profile. Been 5 days I've signed the papers. We are civil. It is a consensual divorce and hence shouldn't take more than 4 to 5 weeks. He offered me the house, he will move out. He will have primary custody of our kids because he was there present for them. I wasn't most of my time. The custody arrangement is going to take some time but otherwise we are good. 2 nights ago, we sat down and just broke down. We told each other how we feel and apologized to each other. I told him I was sorry I couldn't be a dutiful wife. It was good. I love this man more than I love myself but between out everyday life, I got lost. So lost I forgot him. I told him I won't wish him the best because he is the best. I also talked to S, see my last post, she apologized what happened and assured me that it was consensual, a one-time thing and they both are attracted to each other. She told me it was very shameful of her and knows I can't forgive her and she is sorry nonetheless. I told her to take care of him because he's a wonderful soul. I'm seeing a therapist right now. It's awful. I've learned many of my flaws and have to work on them. There's a lot to still uncover but for now, I've accepted what I did. It isn't easy, but I've paved the way for my husband to cheat. It was me who put him through this road. We also plan to sit and tell our kids during the final week. They don't know kuch except mommy and daddy are going through a rough patch because daddy did something mommy hated. Apart from this, it's okay-ish. I have mental breakdowns in my work and I've met few friends. They understand what I'm going through but they're angry at me which is understandable and rightfully so. I don't know why I'm typing this except for me to get it off my chest. I love this man and I've treated him horribly. There's no excuse to that. Cheating was his fault and I can't change that but I can change myself for better. Our marriage is finally coming to an end and I feel numb. Absolutely numb. Only God knows what he has for me on the road ahead. Edit, guys enough. I'm not looking for sympathy. I know I fucked up, I destroyed my fucking marriage, I lost my husband, my self-esteem, my kids, my family. Within 2 fucking months I realized how much I have lost. I've been diagnosed with bipolar 2 and I've become emotionally distant and abusive, I acknowledge that. It isn't pretty. I need to work on myself, I get that. I am not throwing my husband under the bus or trying to paint him as the bad guy. We are getting divorced. He is ending marriage with me and there is no greater punishment for me right now. I need time to swallow so even though I deserve all the hate, please just don't. I need time to recover. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. We also plan to sit and tell our kids during the final week. They don't know kuch except mommy and daddy are going through a rough patch because daddy did something mommy hated. So you've basically told the kids that the divorce is your husband's fault. After all your self-examinations, at the end of the day you can't bring yourself to admit any fault to your own children. Reply. We still haven't talked to the kids. You know we can't tell them these. I'm planning to tell them we both made mistakes and broke each other's heart. Or mommy did something daddy didn't like. Commenter 2. Again, the fact you're blaming the divorce on your husband shows you don't care about taking accountability. This is shitty and you know it. Your STBX doesn't deserve to be thrown under the bus like that and your children deserve to know this isn't their dad's fault. Reply. I'm sorry but do you want me to tell our kids that mommy was emotionally abusive because she worked long hours and we didn't communicate well enough and I wasn't attentive enough which was why we got into huge argument that made their dad sleep with some other woman? Do you really think it's gonna help them? I'm not throwing him under the bus neither I'm throwing myself under the bus. Sure it was my fault and I was emotionally abusive. I made tremendous mistakes and I sure have learned and still learning a lot from it but give me time to swallow it's all too much. Commenter 3. No, if you were to tell your children that you're divorcing because daddy did something mommy didn't like you're throwing him under the bus and you know it. He cheated in response to your emotionally abusive behavior, not saying this is right at all and you didn't deserve that, but don't try to sneakily reframe that shit to your advantage. You can admit your fault to your kids without getting into specifics. Your reply back to me is actually quite good and you should use some of it. For example, mommy made big mistakes that hurt daddy very much and as a result we cannot be together anymore. We love you guys very much, this has nothing to do with you and I will be working with your dad to fix my mistakes and have a good relationship with him again. I am sorry for hurting your dad and I am sorry for hurting you guys. Feel free to use that if you'd like. Either way, your husband's indiscretion is not why this is happening and it would be shitty of you to frame it like that and make him look bad to your kids. Reply. I wrote down in the comments that we still haven't sat down the kids and told them. I wrote that for the sake of explanation. We plan to talk ourselves first before speaking to kids and there's still time for that. I'm not going to throw him under the bus. Commenter 4. See this as an opportunity to work on yourself, to be the best person and mother you can be. Go to therapy, exercise, work on your mental health, Distance yourself from the bad influences in your life and lean on your friends for support. Work towards 50-50 custody of your kids. They need both of you. In happy homes. And they shouldn't be introduced to new partners anytime soon. And that includes S. They need to acclimatize to their new normal. Work through the grief of losing both of your parents and your friend. Grief is a terrible thing and healing is not linear. You need to find healthy coping mechanisms. Your husband telling you to get over their deaths must have been painful. Be careful about taking this sub too much to heart. Don't spiral into shame and self-loathing. You made mistakes whilst going through a hellish time in your life. They do not have to define you. Nor should they. Reply, thank you for this. I'm going therapy and exercising. Work's been overloaded as before. We are going to split time and he will have the primary custody, but we both agree we love the kids and it's best if they stay with him most of the time. I've also talked about divorce and new partners with my husband. He won't introduce S to our kids yet. Thank you again, Blade. Commenter 5. This is the one time I turn a blind eye to the cheating even though it is completely wrong. He should have divorced before cheating, but then again God knows he was already an emotional wreck and weak after the stunt you pulled in your child's birthday. You were pretty much abusing and neglecting him. You claimed to love him but you threw him and your marriage in the trash bin, and put every friend of yours above him. The stunt you pulled in the new year must have been the final straw. There should be a limit to how much you can take someone for granted. No wonder he got so done with you. Hoping he finds his happiness with S. Reply, turns out I've been diagnosed with bipolar 2, still doesn't excuse what I did but I hope he finds happiness with S. I don't deserve it. I've come to terms with it. Commenter 6. It honestly feels like you're still missing the point, which is unsurprising given that the only thing you can see in life is yourself. I'm really glad he wised up and divorced you because even now after all the pain you caused him, all you see is that he's leaving you for another woman. You are selfish as hell and he's leaving because you don't care about him and he knows it. I hope you get the help you need but people like you usually don't take accountability. How dare you even try and get sympathy? Reply, I'm sorry, I missed the point where I mentioned in my post that I need/want sympathy. What do you want me to do? Tell me straightforward. Commenter 7. It just makes me really upset that a big focus of this post is his cheating. I'm sure you are hurting. I've been cheated on myself and it's terrible emotionally, but I don't really see in your post you seeking out resources besides therapy for your emotionally abusive behavior, and I don't want to see you sweep that under the rug to cater to your personal pain. This is the time to work on yourself for your kids. It's too late for the husband, but you've got a lot of negative behavior patterns to work out for your family, and I'd be less mad if you were focusing on your own transgressions here. I'm not saying forgive him right away, but damn. At least understand he was probably trapped for a while trying to regain a normal relationship with you while you abused him. My mother in my childhood was pretty selfish and saw her own pain far before she saw anyone else's, and a lot of her actions damaged my trust in her to this day. She still has not taken accountability for the things she did that hurt me because she decided my responses to her hurtful actions were more important to focus on than my pain. Don't be that parent. Reply, I'm sorry it happened to you. I'm not looking for sympathy or focusing on his cheating. Believe me when I say I still very much want to work on our marriage, but there are a lot of surrounding facts that I can't avoid, coupled with my stressful job that really needs time and efforts and has me physically drained, which is why I can't make our time for either even therapy or books or even myself. Right now I'm in a very, very uncomfortable position. I know I'm not the victim, but when I say I'm hurting, people don't take to believe me. There are things that I've said/did which tore my marriage bits by bits, and I realized it too late. Even now I'm hurting, I'm burning inside, but I can't do anything about it except just swallow it up and accept it. This is how I'm feeling right now. Only if I could go back in time and slap myself right in the face to knock some sense. My marriage has sunken and it's just too much for me right now. I just can't. Commenter 8. Are you telling the whole story? You weren't cheating on him? I find that a little hard to believe. From the description of the first post, if I put myself in your husband's head, I would definitely be thinking, she is seeing someone, she is getting the emotional and physical attention from somewhere else. Are you sure you weren't even flirting with someone, having an emotional affair or something like that? And you are hiding all that in hopes you can get your husband back? Reply, I wasn't cheating or seeing someone. Not even as flirting. My field of job is very challenging and it was my lifelong dream. It's quite messy and, if I be honest, stressful. I had to rethink if I really wanted this. On top of that I had multiple pressures from peers, co-workers to hang out, and it was just too much at all. Commenter 9. Why can't a couple work through difficulties without having to seek comfort in another partner? Life's a journey with all kinds of situations. It's not supposed to be easy all the time. That's how grow as an individual and as a couple. Your husband cheated on you. You had an argument and he spent the night in the arms of another woman. You're much better off without him. He's the one who's insecure. He already had the scenario playing out in his mind. How'd he know he could go there and they would sleep together? They were probably plotting to get custody all along. I would fight for joint custody with every fiber of my being if I were you. Commenter 10. Fight for joint custody. Judging from the tone of this post, she doesn't even seem that interested in her kids. Obviously I can't be 100% sure just from a Reddit post, but there are signs that she's quite self-absorbed in both posts. If OP does indeed want to be there for her kids, then she absolutely should fight for more time with her kids rather than just agreeing with whatever her ex wants, which kinda seems to be the case here. At any rate, I really am sorry for all the parties involved and I hope they can find a way to move on from this. Reply. We haven't discussed about the custody arrangement yet. I'll surely fight for my kids if it's unfair to me. My point is, my husband spent most of his time with kids as he was a stay-home dad. It would surely hurt him even more if I get more time than him. That is not to say I don't wish to see my kids. I love them. But I want it to be fair to both us and our kids. Stories number 22. Aita for wanting to end my engagement after accidentally seeing an old video of my fiancé with two men. I, 29M, just got engaged to my fiancé, 28F. We've been together for 6 years, and we've built a really strong relationship. We're planning our wedding for next year, and both of our families are incredibly close. Everyone was thrilled when we got engaged. Last week, we were hanging out and going through each other's phones out of boredom, just looking through old photos and videos. While going through hers, I stumbled on a video from 9 years ago, way before we met, where she was being intimate with two men. It completely caught me off guard. She was just as shocked as I was and said she thought she had deleted it a long time ago. And honestly, I do believe her. I've known her long enough to trust that this was a genuine mistake and not something she intentionally kept. She immediately deleted it, apologized, and looked really shocked. She explained it was from her college days, and that the guys were firefighters she met back then. I don't know why, but hearing that somehow made it feel even worse. Maybe it was the imagery, the intensity of it, or just how much fun she seemed to be having in the video. They were sort of ragdolling her, there were loud noises, and I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that came over me. I told her I needed some space, and she respected that. She's been crying a lot since, it's torn her up, and I keep telling her she didn't do anything wrong. She didn't. It was her life before me, and she had every right to live it however she wanted. But no matter how hard I try, I just can't unsee it. It did something to me emotionally, and I don't feel the same anymore. I've been thinking about calling off the engagement. It would destroy her. It would devastate our families. But I don't want to keep her in this limbo. I know we have a lifetime of memories and love behind us, but I can't lie to myself about how I feel. So yeah, I feel like the bad guy for wanting to walk away over something that shouldn't even matter. But it does matter to me, no matter how much I wish it didn't. Stories number 23. Aita for making my GF pump her own gas. Since me, 28M, and my girlfriend, 27F, started dating, any time she drove and had to get gas I would pump it for her. Well, last week she took me to work because her car does better in the snow than mine. When she came to pick me up from work she was wearing pajamas which were shorts with a long sleeve button up, she even wore her house shoes. I was embarrassed for my coworkers to see her like that, so when she stopped for gas to teach her a lesson I told her my back was sore and she could pump it. She said it was too cold and she wanted me to do it. She's the moron that wore shorts. I stood my ground, she pumped her own gas, but wouldn't talk to me during the drive. We pass a sushi place on our way home so I asked her to stop, she said no but I kept persisting and she finally said okay. She told me I would have to run in so I did. When I came out she had left. I told my brother because I needed a ride home, he gave me a ride home but said I was an ass and I deserved it. If there's any interest I can update with what happened when I got home, but it doesn't seem super relevant to my question so I don't see the need to add it. Majority judgment, YTA. Relevant reply. She pays for the gas, I just get out and pump it for her. She is able to work from home so her schedule was pretty flexible. She owns the house and bills are 50/50ths. I just updated, but I do understand how I came off now and definitely understand how I'm TA. Edit update. First, to answer questions, she pays for her own gas. She didn't get out of the car but she doesn't have tinted windows, and I didn't expect her to dress up. I did expect her to not look like a bum though. I'm still reading comments so I'll add stuff that gets asked a lot to this and I'll try to respond to others. Now for what happened when I got home. We live in a fairly rural area and I work about 35 to 45 minutes away. Apparently my brother called my mom, who then called my girlfriend and told her what I had said. This did include me calling her a moron and saying how embarrassed I was. When I got back home, my girlfriend had moved all of my cloths and belongings into the junk room. I tried to talk to her, but she locked herself in our room and ignored me. When I finally got her to talk to me, she basically listed everything I've done wrong in our relationship. This past week has been hell. She wouldn't take me to work when it was snowing, so I had to take myself, and my car got stuck twice. I missed 2 days of work because of her pettiness. I really didn't think I was the asshole here, but I tried to justify and explain myself. I did admit I was trying to teach her a lesson, and we broke up. When I got home from work, she had all my belongings in boxes by the front door, and I guess that's that. I really didn't think I was the asshole, but obviously that's why I posted here. Everybody that wanted us to break up got what they wanted. I'm not sure if my update is too relationship-based, so if it gets taken down, I apologize. New update. Can I take legal action against my girlfriend for kicking me out? My now ex-girlfriend and I got into a petty argument and broke up. She kicked me out of the house, and I want to know if there's any legal action I can take. The house was a gift from her parents and is in her name, but she kicked me out without any warning, causing me to have to move back in with my patents, and I simply don't want to live with them. Is there a way I can make her have to let me move back in? Stories number 24. My cousin is relocating to the UK, and my dad assumed she'd be living with us, but it's not our responsibility. I, 24F, have a cousin who is moving to the UK soon. She's my dad's niece. Her mum and my dad are siblings. My parents divorced 10 years ago after a messy and traumatic relationship involving domestic violence. They've had no contact since the divorce, and my mum has removed herself from that side of the family in terms of personal ties, though she remains friendly and cordial with her ex-in-laws when necessary. I live with my mum, and my relationship with my dad is separate. To make things even more emotionally difficult, my mum recently lost her own mum, my maternal grandma, so we're both grieving. When my cousin's move to the UK came up, my mum spoke directly to my aunt and made it very clear from the beginning that she would not be housing her. She said my dad should take responsibility for his niece. As far as my mum was concerned, the matter was settled. But despite that, my cousin, aunt, and dad all seemed to just assume my cousin would be staying with us, meaning at my mum's house. Then my cousin casually told me I'd be picking her up from the airport. I didn't mind doing that, but I let her know I'd be dropping her off at my dad's. She looked confused and said, "No, I'm coming to your house." I asked if my mum knew about that, and she said her mum had spoken to mine. But when I brought it up with my mum, she was like, "I told them your dad should house her." When I relayed all this to my dad, he said his living situation isn't ideal as he lives with his girlfriend in a flat share. I said, "She'll have to stay with you," and he looked shocked. His response was, "Isn't she your cousin?" And I replied, "Isn't she your niece?" It's not my house, and it's not my place to offer anyone a place to stay. My mum has no obligation to house her ex-husband's relatives, especially not while grieving her own mother. She was clear and respectful from the beginning, and still this has somehow landed back on her doorstep. I care about my cousin and want to support her however I can, but I feel caught in the middle of something that was never mine to handle. Am I wrong for backing my mum? Should I be doing more, or is this really my dad's responsibility to sort out? Edit. I can't pick her up from the airport as she is landing while I'm away on holiday. I told my dad that he would have to pick her up, and he just gave me so much attitude, asking me why I didn't tell my cousin to choose a different flight and why I didn't let her know before she booked the flights that I'd be away. Stories number 25. Aita for shitting down whenever my brother's university plans come up. Apologies in advance, this is long, but I feel like I'm going to go crazy if I don't get some outside perspective. I, 26F, have a younger brother, 18M, who's about to start his undergrad in the US. He's really excited, and I'm happy for him, but I'm also struggling with a lot of complicated feelings. When I finished school, I too had dreams of studying abroad. I went to an international school where almost everyone went on to study in the States. I applied to universities in the US and UK, got a few admits, and was starting to plan my next steps. Right as everything was coming together, my dad pulled the rug out from under me. Out of nowhere, he decided I wouldn't be going abroad, and instead, I'd be going back to our home country. He sent out my applications himself, got me admitted to one of the top engineering schools there, and just told me that's where I'd be going. End of discussion. The thing is, I never wanted to study engineering. I told him so many times, but it didn't matter. His reasoning was that I needed to get in touch with my roots. For context, I'm a third culture kid, spent my entire life abroad, grew up in a different country, and studied in a predominantly American system. His decision felt like exile. Those 4 years of university were the worst years of my life. I was stuck in a country I didn't feel at home in, studying something I had no interest in. I was numb the whole time, and I've spent years trying to block it all out. It still fucks me up to this day. My parents know how I feel, but they believe I should be grateful to have graduated from such a prestigious university. After graduating, COVID hit. I was stuck with a degree I didn't want and no idea what to do. Eventually, I decided I would pursue a master's, but this time on my terms. Fast forward 3 years, I've built a life I love, I live in a great country, I have a job I actually care about, and I'm happy. But now my brother is going to university in the US, the exact path I wanted to take. He said he wanted to study there, and they supported him without hesitation. And I'm finding it impossible to process. I feel so fucking angry. I feel like I was robbed of a future I could have had. Every time someone brings up his college plans, I feel like I'm choking. And so I stay out of family discussions. My parents have noticed, and when I tried to explain why, they called me jealous, fake, and ungrateful. They told me I have no right to be upset since everything worked out in the end. They said, I should be supportive and present during this important phase in my brother's life. But it's true, I am jealous. Not because I don't want my brother to have this opportunity, I do. I'm glad he gets to live out his dream. But I'm angry that I didn't get the same chance. That I was given no choice. I just resent my parents, and the unfairness of it all. And so I stay away. Question is, Aita for still being upset about this, even though things have worked out for me now. Stories number 26. My friend gave my abusive ex my new phone number. I am genuinely not sure if I'm tweaking. I used to date a guy about a year ago and this man was toxic to stalking, threats, emotional abuse, everything that was bad. He doesn't live in my country but he came a few times when we were still okay, but I never invited him to my actual home. We always went to Airbnbs BC even when things were okay. I didn't want him to have my home address, and when everything started going downhill, he genuinely stalked my address with all the info he found out about me, flew from his country to mine and came to my house. That was deadass one of the scariest times of my life, and I genuinely moved after that. I changed my number, I did everything so he wouldn't come again. But apparently someone I considered a friend has for one been talking and for two gave that man my phone number knowing damn well everything he did last time. I am so unbelievably mad. I thought I finally found peace and I've been healing over everything only to go right back to feeling completely unsafe again, but my friend is acting like I'm crazy because it's been a year and he's probably changed. Update. So I ended up blocking my ex-friend. Obviously, I blocked my ex too. I changed my number, gave only my super close friends my new number and family. I told the rest they just have to contact me through Instagram or Snap for a while because I don't feel comfortable sharing my number everywhere. I'm not 100% sure how it goes with filing reports against people in other countries, but I honestly do not want that evil man even I in my country, let alone anywhere near me, so I'm definitely looking into it. I basically gave everyone in my building a little heads up and I also gave them all my ex's pic and told them to just be on lookout. I still feel scared as hell but I'm doing all I can at the moment. Okay, now, there were so many comments I can't answer them all but I'll just answer some of the ones I saw the most. Our ages. I just turned 21 a couple days ago, my ex-friend is 23, and my ex-BF was 30 when we got together and I was 17, which is, why do you type like that? English is not my first language and I'm literally 21, give me some grace. Anyways. Important stuff now. Info about my ex-friend. My ex-friend is a girl, which honestly makes everything feel 100x worse because I feel like fellow girls should understand abusive men more than anything but clearly not. My friend is originally from the UK but she's been here for school and work for the past 4 years. For context. Yes, she has met my ex when him and I were still together, they did get along. I can't say there were a lot of signs, but one thing I can atone for is this girl has always been a bit of a pick-me. Relationship between my ex-friend and my ex-BF, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if something was going on there. I got one of our mutual friends to ask my ex-friend about their contact and they'd clearly been talking for a lot more than the bullshit. He'd met me last night, she told me. They've actively been calling and texting with one another for at least a month, from what she admitted, which just makes everything a million times worse. If she legit sold me out like that just because she's into that abusive asshole, I don't even mean to be a bitch, but I hope she gets to see the real him real quick. Maybe he's manipulating her, maybe they're sexting each other, who TF knows, they're both freaks. Info about mine and my ex's relationship. I honestly don't even know if you can call it a relationship because in all honesty, I was very much grown. I already mentioned the age gap, but like I said, I was 17, he was 30 and we ended right after I turned 20. We met online on a video game and became friends and then started dating and meeting up IRL. Like I said in the original post, very abusive, very toxic, very manipulative, very emotionally abusive. He never actually physically hit me, but the amount of times he threatened to me over texts and the phone and even IRL he might as well have. Very shitty relationship, and my friend knows all that. It never really officially ended. I texted him that I wanted to break up but I'd done that a million times before and he clearly hadn't listened. But after the time he stalked my address, came to my family home, I just blocked him everywhere, changed my number and moved. Why did I always go to Airbnbs with my ex even when things were okay? Honestly, in my original post I used the word okay very loosely. That man has always scared me, and of course I was a child living at home, I couldn't bring my 30-year-old boyfriend into my family home. Things were never really okay. When I say okay I was just referring to before the times he started all of his toxic, abusive BS. But it was very clearly, never a good relationship. My ex-friend having info on me, yes, my ex-friend does have my home address, however I also asked the other friend to ask her if she gave him my address and she said no, but in all honesty, I don't believe shit she says, so all we can do is hope. Talking to / confronting my ex-friend in person, honestly, I thought about it, but I think it's a waste of time. She clearly does not give two shits and I feel like seeing her is honestly going to be really triggering and I just don't want to deal with that. However, I did get one of our mutual friend to link my Reddit post to her, so hopefully she actually takes some time to read y'all's words. But for me, she's completely cut off and I'll just keep it that way. That small conversation through our mutual friend and generally how she acted towards me when I confronted her via text was more than enough for me to realize she's a total fucking freak. Plus, since she's still actively talking to my abuser, she can just fuck right off. Google phone number. I do have an iPhone, so I'm not 100% sure if I can do the Google number, but honestly, if it adds an extra layer of security I'm more than willing to toss my phone in the trash and buy an Android. Definitely have to look more into this one. Moving, honestly, I am working towards it. I don't really have the money to move. Moving out of my family home when I was only 20 was already tough enough, now moving again is definitely gonna be a struggle. Will take a while, but probably will happen ASAP. Filing a report. I wrote about this a little in my update, but yes, I definitely want to file something because I actually can't have my ex anywhere near me. I have a lot of evidence and I've been screenshotting everything and getting all my photos and videos I took IRL and writing dates and everything. I have a fuck ton of evidence, so I'm praying it can at least be for a restraining order or something. If anyone has any ideas how that works in the Netherlands, please LMK, smiley face. Family involvement. My parents didn't know for a long while because obviously, like I said, I was a kid dating an abusive 30-year-old. I never told them. Whenever we'd go to Airbnbs together I always told my parents that I was just going out with friends. However, when he stalked my home address, my parents' home, because I was still living there at the time, everything sort of crumbled, and of course they found out because a grown-ass man showed up at their door practically beating it down and begging and yelling for me to come out. This was very much the catalyst of me moving out. My dad wanted to beat my ex's ass and he also wanted to call the cops, but I kind of begged him not to because I was scared if I actually got him arrested, he'd get out and sort of come back for me after he got out, which I'm still kind of scared of honestly. But yeah, my family, my friends and my neighbors at my current apartment all know about the situation. You're obviously not overreacting, why would you even ask? When I wrote that first post I was genuinely starting to feel like I was overreacting. I didn't show everything in that original post, but my ex-friend was genuinely starting to make me feel like I was doing too much and just misunderstanding her good intentions, and I do admit that I don't have the strongest backbone. I do have anxiety and I often am a bit of a pushover, so I really was wondering if I was doing too much at the time. I now realize that I probably didn't do nearly enough. Do I think my ex is still a threat? 100% yes I do. I thought he'd finally gotten the message after everything that had happened, but clearly he hasn't. So many lines have been crossed and I realize thanks to the internet, my friends, and my family that I should have gone the legal route ages ago. Thank you everyone if anyone read all this, sorry for it being so long. I'm just half venting and half explaining. I'm safe and well at the moment, and if there are any more questions I'll try and keep up in the comments. Love, I really appreciate all the advice and support. I'm still shaken as hell, but all I can do is look forwards, smiley face. Stories number 27. I'm starting to hate tourists. I've grown up in a small seaside town in the south of Spain. As a child I can remember tourists arriving in summer, they'd stick around for a few months and then the rest of the year would be a closed town where everyone knew everyone. Now, it's just floods of tourists all year round no matter the season. It's now summer and you can barely walk through town without having to wade through massive groups who decide to walk incredibly slowly and take up the entire pavement. Rent is insane because most properties are now holiday rentals. Half of the tourists that come are rude and messy and decide to treat our small town like it's their personal playground, drunkenly screaming their way home at 3 a.m. They make work a nightmare. I work in hospitality, by deciding to ignore their kids for hours on end as they get drunk and just let their rude little demons run free. They get pissy when it's 2 a.m. and you're telling them they need to leave because guess what? Cleaning doesn't happen by itself, and I also have a family that I want to go home to. FFS every month that I pay rent I'm scared my landlady is gonna decide she doesn't want to renew my contract because she wants to turn my home, that I searched for 2 years, into an Airbnb. I hate this. I understand wanting a holiday, I love traveling, but FFS is common decency just not a thing anymore. Stories number 28. Aita for dumping dinner in the trash and asking my family not to stay at my place again. My family is visiting for a couple of days, my brother, his wife, and their 2 kids. I tried to be a good host and cooked a nice dinner for everyone on their last evening here even though I had a busy day at work. For context, my house has an open floor plan, so we were all in the same area. I let everyone know that dinner was ready, but no one came to the table. I thought maybe they hadn't heard me because the TV was on, so I repeated myself, but still got no response. I went ahead and made my plate and sat down to eat. Meanwhile, my brother's wife was watching Facebook videos, my brother was watching football, and their kids were playing video games. When I finished eating, I picked up my plate and asked if anyone was going to eat. My brother got up and went to smoke outside, the kids kept ignoring me, and his wife just gestured that she was busy. After 20 minutes, the food was cold, so I threw it away. I wished them good night and told them I wasn't their servant, and that the least they could do was acknowledge the effort someone puts into cooking for them. I also told my brother he wasn't welcome to stay at my place again. Edit, I had cooked fried fish. It doesn't reheat well. I didn't want my house to smell bad either. Edit 2.0, the family eats fish, and a few days ago my brother mentioned he missed mom's old fried fish recipe. So I decided to cook it for them. Stories number 29. Am I overreacting for skipping my sister's wedding after what she did to my fiancé? So, my 28F sister, 31F, just got married last weekend. I was supposed to be her maid of honor, dresses picked, speech written, everything. But I didn't attend. Here's why. My fiancé, 30M, and I have been together for 5 years. We got engaged last December and announced it to close family over the holidays. Everyone seemed happy, or so I thought. A month ago, during a family barbecue, my sister got drunk and jokingly said she thought my fiancé had always been too hot for me and that she totally would have gone for him if I hadn't called dibs. It was weird, but I let it slide. My fiancé was clearly uncomfortable too. Fast forward to the wedding rehearsal dinner. My fiancé pulls me aside looking shaken and tells me my sister tried to kiss him the night before when she invited him over to help her test the lighting at the venue. He says he pushed her away immediately and left. I was livid. I confronted her, she laughed it off, said he'd misread her, that he was probably fantasizing and wanted attention. I told her that was beyond inappropriate and she needed to apologize to both of us. She refused, accused me of trying to ruin her big day, and said I was being dramatic. So I backed out. I didn't attend the wedding. Now my entire family is calling me selfish and immature, saying I should have just dealt with it for one day and had the conversation later. Even my mom said, you don't walk out on your sister's wedding for some misunderstanding. But I honestly feel betrayed, disrespected, and grossed out. Am I overreacting? Stories number 30. Aita for refusing to punish my daughter after she blew up on the class clown that she didn't want at her birthday party. My daughter is 13 and she goes to a small school. Her grade only has 18 students, 10 boys and 8 girls. My daughter also has other friends from the sports she does. We plan to have her go to a much larger high school in the future. Her 13th birthday party was last weekend and I asked who she wanted to invite. She wanted to invite 7 of the girls from her class and 5 from her soccer team. The one girl she doesn't want to invite is named Kelly. My daughter doesn't like Kelly, she is the class clown in her grade and my daughter hides her annoying and attention-seeking. I asked her why she didn't want her there and her response was, she ruins school for me all the time, I don't want her to ruin my birthday. I agreed with her list and sent the invites out. My ex-wife is invited to all her major milestone instead of us doing separate events. I learned an hour before the party my ex-wife sent an inv to Kelly since her mom found out about the party. My daughter was not happy to see her, it was a surprise for her, I told her to enjoy the party. It was going well until the cake came out, my daughter wanted a glitter cake, when you blow out the candles glitter goes everywhere. While everyone was around the cake, Kelly took her fingers and swiped icing off the top layer of the cake. It ruined the cake and my daughter lost it. She yelled at Kelly, basically saying, what is wrong with you, this is why I didn't want you here and that you ruin everything. She ran to her room after and Kelly was crying. Kelly's parent is wanting an apology, my ex-wife wants her to apologize as well. I am refusing to make her do that or punish her at all. I pointed out that my ex never should have invited her and to the mom that her child ruined the cake, and that at 12 years old should know better. They are calling me an ass and my daughter is just upset. Stories number 31. Aita for refusing to help pay for my sister's wedding when my parents paid nothing for mine. I'm 31F and got married 2 years ago. My now husband and I paid for the whole thing ourselves, venue, food, photographer, everything. My parents didn't offer a single dollar, which I never held against them. I figured they just couldn't afford it, and I didn't want to add pressure. Fast forward to now, my younger sister, 28F, is getting married next spring. A few weeks ago, my mom called to loop me in on helping with costs. I thought she meant something small, like splitting decorations or planning a DIY day. Nope. They expected me to pitch in $5,000 to cover the venue deposit. My jaw literally dropped. I asked why they couldn't help her the way they didn't help me, and my mom said, well, you and your husband were more established financially. Your sister's still figuring things out. That might be true, but I don't think it makes me responsible for funding her wedding. I told them, politely, that I wouldn't be contributing, especially since we got zero help when it was our turn. Now my sister's not speaking to me. My mom says I'm being petty and punishing my sister for something she had no control over. My dad's staying quiet, but I know he agrees with my mom. One of my aunts even texted me to say I should let it go, because it's just money, and it's family. To be clear, I'm not struggling financially, but that doesn't mean I want to spend thousands on someone else's wedding, especially when I had to bootstrap my own AITA for refusing to help pay for my sister's wedding when no one helped with mine. Stories number 32. Entitled parent wants me to change plane seats because my face scared her kid. I, 24M, am visiting Boston for the week and just got off a 5-hour flight a few hours ago and I'm still kind of shaken up and upset. For context, a few months ago I had a procedure called an orbital exenteration. You can search that up if you want, for an aggressive cancer that left me with what is basically a hole the size of a pool ball where my right eye used to be. I typically don't wear any facial coverings or prosthetics to cover it because of how recent this was and how I'm still attempting to come to terms with the fact that I'm basically missing the upper half of the right side of my face. Anyways, on this flight I picked a window seat like I always and settle in, and not long after a woman boards with her husband and her son who's around 4/5 years old. Her husband has a seat in the row behind me and she and her son have the middle and aisle seats in my row. The moment her son saw me, he visibly recoils. I'm quite used to occasional glances and stares, and it doesn't bother me, but whenever I notice children looking scared of me, that always kind of hurts. I know kids don't have filters, I understand, but I was expecting his mother to just tell him to knock it off or something. Instead, she asked me, "Can you switch seats with my husband? My son's not exactly the most comfortable sitting next to you," I apologize. "He's kind of scared here so it would really help us out." I told her that no, I wouldn't change seats because I wanted my window seat, to which she asked me a few more times before giving up and saying something along the lines of, "Seriously? He's only a child, I just thought you might a little more sensitive." And that pissed me off. I am sensitive, I've been sensitive about my face since the day I got surgery, I've avoided photos, mirrors, and public settings all too often. But apparently I'm not sensitive enough for choosing my own comfort over a random child's. To be honest, for a while after that I had to hold in tears because my disfigurement embarrasses me, and oftentimes I'm so embarrassed I don't go out much, and this reminded me exactly why. I understand a child is a child and people will stare, but I just hate how she treated me as if I was doing something wrong by just existing. Anyways, I'm in Boston so yay, and I just hope that more parents would teach their kids that when they see someone who looks different, they're still normal people inside and don't deserve any different treatment than if they looked normal. Stories number 33. My sister is starting rumors about me over a jewelry box. I, 24F, have a wooden jewelry box I've had for a couple of years. I don't remember who exactly gave it to me, but I thought I got it from my mama. Yesterday my brother-in-law, 32, Steve, asked if he could buy it for me for my sister Anna, 27. He said when they were up last year and saw it and said it was our grandma's, not to be confused with mama. I told him it wasn't hers and that my mama gave it to me and that I would think about it. Well, today I received this text at work. "Hey, so I TXT mama and asked about that jewelry box and she said she never gifted a jewelry box to you. The last time we were up there, they told me that was the one as a little girl that Grandma Mary gave to her. And please don't tell Da I'm talking to you about this cause she doesn't know I am. I think we both know how much Destiny loves Grandma Mary the First. Really want to surprise her for our anniversary in August. So name your price for it and I'll make it happen. Please let me know when you're able, thanks." Here's the thing. I know it isn't my grandma's because the day we got things from her is one of my most vivid memories. She had cancer and the doctor didn't give her much longer, so she had everyone come over to pick out a few things. I was the only one of my siblings to show up. I mentioned to her that I wanted to grab them something and I was told, no, if they wanted something they should have been here. I know my grandma said that from a place of hurt and I still ended up picking out stuff for them. I picked out a gold bird pendant for Anna, which she complained about. She also was upset that I grabbed the pillow the three of us shared a funny memory with. Point being, that day was very emotional and so was her death. If I was given a jewelry box from her I would have remembered. When I got home I mentioned to my mama and papa what happened, and while mama didn't remember the jewelry box, my papa said he bought 3 of the boxes at a yard sale and that he thought that could have been one. It also turns out Steven didn't message mama, it was Anna, and she said, I am very hurt by her and I can't believe she's lying when she knows how important that is to me. Anna even has my grandma's wedding ring. When he originally asked and I said I would think about it, I really meant the price. Not to charge an arm and a leg, but to replace it because I've been using it for years now and don't have another. Even when he sent that text I was still planning on giving it to them, because I clearly don't remember where I got it and it doesn't hold that much sentimental value to me. But now knowing he wasn't trying to surprise her and they were scheming and talking poorly of me, I really don't want to. My poor mama won't lie, and Anna had Steven message her too, so it wouldn't be a lie if I asked if he messaged her. I love my family very dearly and I don't like to fight. How do I respond to this? And I can't make this any more clear, but that is not my grandma's jewelry box. Update. My sister is starting rumors about me over a jewelry box. I didn't respond to Steven last night and this morning he messaged me asking me my thoughts. This is what I sent. I really don't think that it is grandma's. I talked to Papa, and he remembers buying 3 at a garage sale. I had it when I moved to Georgia, and I am not sure why. If you guys thought it was hers, you didn't say something sooner. If you are convinced it is hers, then I will trade you for the gold bird pendant for it. The pendant is why I have bird tattoos, so that is sentimental for me. For context, I picked out the pendant for Anna that day and throughout the years she's made comments about it not being special. The day of my grandma's funeral I saw a hawk. The same goes for any other time someone has passed, so now I have a bunch of bird tattoos in honor of them. This was Steven's response. Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out, and I'm not talking to Anna about it, so it's kinda hard to figure out. But the last time we were up there she had asked or told you that it was, I really don't remember what her words were. But she recognized it. And I do remember you didn't say anything it in a bad way or anything but it, so I was just trying to figure it out. And I asked Anna about it last time and she said all she knew was that she wasn't able to make it up there when Mary passed, so she couldn't get anything, and that you had grabbed that bird pendant for her. So she just assumed that you had grabbed that jewelry box as well. So I've been going through old pictures and seeing if anyone in the family had pictures of it at all, but no luck. A while back Anna wanted one that looked similar and that what I've been running off of, lol. My response, well, like I said, I don't believe it's hers, but if you want it, I'll trade you. Now he wants me to send a picture because he thinks he found one with it in it and wants to compare. I told him to send his first. I don't doubt they would go and try to AI a picture with mine in it, lol. Stories number 34. When I was 11, my friend's mom told me something I probably should have never known. This happened like over a decade ago, but it's still stuck in my head like it happened last week. I used to hang out a lot at my best friend's house. We were like 10 or 11, always playing video games, eating cereal at 2 a.m., doing kid stuff. His dad wasn't around, and he always said he died of cancer when he was little. Never really questioned it. That's just what we all knew. One day his mom was driving me home after a sleepover, super casual. Out of nowhere, she goes, you know, he didn't really die of cancer. He had AIDS. I just sat there. Quiet. I didn't know what to say. I was literally 11. I didn't even fully understand what AIDS was yet. She just kept talking, like I was a therapist or something. Said he had cheated on her, got infected, and died fast. Said she never told her son the truth because he wouldn't understand, and she didn't want him to grow up hating his dad. Then she dropped me off like it was nothing. I remember reading here that some people usually do this, they're like microtherapies to release what they carry inside. The truth is that when I read it, I immediately thought of this event and even empathized with her. I never told anyone. Not even my friend. Still haven't. Every time I see him post about how much he misses his dad or talks about how he fought so hard against the cancer, I feel sick. Not because it's his fault, obviously, but because I know something he doesn't and probably never will. It's not my place to say anything. But it's been living rent-free in my brain for over 15 years. Needed to say it somewhere. Stories number 35. Am I the bad apple for telling my 4-year-old daughter I would leave after she kept saying it to me? I, 29F, have a 4-year-old daughter who's smart, sassy, and very expressive. Lately, she's been going through a phase where she says things like, I'm going to leave, or I'm running away, when she's upset. I know she doesn't fully understand the weight of those words, but it's still hurtful to hear, especially when it feels like she's saying it just to get a reaction out of me. Well, the other day, she was upset about something small and said again, I'm going to leave so you feel sad. I'd heard it a few times that week already, and I was frustrated. So I calmly said back, okay then, maybe I'll leave too. The second the words left my mouth, her face dropped. She ran under the table and started crying, saying it broke her heart. I immediately followed her and gently asked, "Do you know why I said that?" She said, "Because I said it first." I asked her how it felt when I said it, and she said, "It broke my heart." I told her I'm not leaving her, ever, and that I only said it because I wanted her to understand how those words feel when someone you love says them to you. I reassured her that I love her and I'm always here, but I also wanted her to understand that words have meaning, and they can hurt. I didn't yell. I wasn't angry. I just kind of flipped her words back on her in the moment so she could understand the impact. She calmed down after, and I hugged her and explained how we can talk about feelings without trying to hurt each other. But now I'm second-guessing myself. So, am I the bad apple? Stories number 36. Aita for how I reacted to my boyfriend telling his mom about my medical emergency, which led to my estranged mother contacting me. My boyfriend and I, both 23, have been together for a little over 2 years. We've known each other since preschool and stayed in touch even after I switched schools and countries in high school. He was always kind. We were nice friends, distant but warm. After he got out of an abusive relationship a few years ago, we reconnected and started dating. At first, everything was great. We came from totally different backgrounds, and it was exciting getting to know each other's worlds. But things got complicated when he told his mother about our relationship. I've known her since we were kids, but out of nowhere, she contacted his ex about us. That ex ended up threatening and harassing me online, and his mom made a scene about him not caring about her anymore, which she still occasionally does. He sincerely apologized and said he didn't expect that to happen. I nearly ended things, but I gave him another chance because I thought he'd learn. Unfortunately, it kept happening. His mom would get involved in our business, make inappropriate comments, and overstep boundaries. He'd always apologize but never actually set limits. I had to block her. Currently, I live alone, but I've been staying with my dad temporarily while sick. A few days ago, I got really sick, high fever, vomiting, blood in my urine, had to go to the hospital. My boyfriend came with me. My dad is elderly, which I appreciated. While we were there, he texted his mom to let her know what was going on. I never asked him to do this, and I'd specifically asked him before to keep certain things private. But since he lives with her, I get that he needed to say where he was and that wasn't the issue. The problem is, his mom immediately reached out to my mom. I've been estranged from my mother for over a year due to deeply personal and traumatic reasons. I've made it very clear I don't want contact. While I'm in a hospital bed weak and nauseous, my dad gets flooded with texts and calls from her because of him. His mom told mine I was dying and not functioning properly. I was furious. I told him to leave. My dad asked him to stay until I was okay. After I was discharged, he took me home. On the way, he tried to talk, but I didn't have the energy. I was sick, humiliated, and hurt. The next night, he wanted to talk things out. He started with, "I don't think it was fair how you reacted." He said he felt disrespected that I got angry over something out of his control. He said I was full of anger and acting unfairly. He also said some of our friends agreed that he didn't do anything wrong. He did apologize after, saying he could have handled his mom better but doesn't see how this could have been prevented. I told him I just want boundaries with his mom. I don't want him sharing personal info about me, especially knowing her history of stirring drama and crossing lines. But he doesn't see the issue and I honestly don't think he ever has. Aita for how I reacted. Was I wrong? Was this really out of his control? Stories number 37. Aita for uninviting my SIL from my wedding after she called me a gold digger in front of my fiancé's whole family. So, my fiancé and I are getting married in a few months. We're both super excited, been together for 5 years, and we've worked hard to plan a big wedding with close family and friends. For context, he earns more than me, like, significantly more. I'm a teacher and I love my job, but yeah, it's not high paying. I've always been independent and never once asked him for money. Fast forward to a family dinner last night. His whole side of the family was there, including his sister, let's call her Alyssa. Out of nowhere, during a convo about wedding expenses, Alyssa jokes, very loudly, "Well asterisk comma asterisk of course she wants a big wedding asterisk comma asterisk she hit the jackpot marrying rich." Then laughs. Everyone goes quiet. I was stunned. I laughed it off in the moment, but I was so embarrassed. I felt like she undermined me and made me look like I'm using him. After dinner, I told my fiancé how much it hurt. He was upset too, said it was totally out of line, and he talked to her. She didn't apologize. Instead, she doubled down in a group chat, "I'm just saying what everyone's thinking ****. That was the last straw for me." I told my fiancé I didn't want her at our wedding. He supported me but warned me his parents would be upset. Now his mom is calling me dramatic, saying family shouldn't be excluded over a joke. His dad hasn't said much, but I can tell he's siding with them. I'm getting texts from cousins telling me to just let it go, that Alyssa is always like this and doesn't mean anything by it. I don't care if she didn't mean it. I'm not about to let someone who disrespects me sit front row while I marry the love of my life. So, Aita. Stories number 38. AIO for leaving my cousin's wedding early after she seated me at the singles kids table. I, 29F, was invited to my cousin's wedding this weekend. I RSVP'd months ago and made it clear I'd be coming solo since I just got out of a long-term relationship. When I got there, I was shocked to see I had been seated at a table with literal teenagers, her younger cousins and some 13 to 16-year-olds. I double-checked the seating chart, and yep. Table 11. Singles and teens. Everyone else my age was seated together, mostly couples or friends. I felt so out of place and embarrassed. I tried to tough it out for dinner, but when speeches started, a few teens at the table were goofing off and talking over everything. I got up, politely said goodbye to my aunt, and left quietly. The next day, my cousin texted me saying she noticed I left rudely, and that I could have handled it with grace instead of storming off. I said I didn't storm off, I just didn't feel like being treated like a child for being single. Now the family group chat is buzzing and I'm being called dramatic. Stories number 39. Just because someone argues with you online doesn't mean they're transphobic. I got into an online argument, I know, my bad already for even engaging in it, with this 19-year-old who made a video about how they're moving in with their boyfriend of 3 months. I commented on it, oh brother, to which this dude makes a whole response video about it and kept tagging me in it to get me to reply. Like 8 hours later he's still tagging me, so I give in and respond saying I still think it's weird, and I respond to a few other commenters who agreed with me saying, real. But FYI their pronouns are he/they, while the whole time I'm still arguing with this dude. Op acknowledges that I was still being respectful and using the right pronouns, then hits me with a, I'm starting to regret thinking you were a decent person who respects pronouns, after I replied to someone saying it's weird that Op is still trying to keep the argument going with me a whole day later with next to no response from me while still tagging me and blowing up my notifications. Mind you, the entire time my PFP on there is the lesbian flag, my bio. My trans wife's at. Her PFP. A trans flag. I know we're basic, but I am a simple person to be honest, and neither of us use TikTok enough to find an interesting PFP. It just irks me that they'll try to spin an argument into something it's not and saying, why are you still on my page, just because I don't agree with them over something they posted on a public forum and then tagged me in multiple times. I'm just so tired of this, I'm a victim no matter what, mentality and people trying to call others something they aren't just because they think they're losing an argument online. Stories number 40. I 27F got a call from state police calling me to be reference for an ex-BF 27M who cheated on me with an officer he was training. Do I silently give no reference by never allowing them to get in contact with me, or do I tell them the truth? I, 27F, was friends with a guy for 6 years, including 2 years living in the same house in college, and then dated him for 1.5 years following that, who was a cop in a smaller city department. The relationship ended because I found messages of him pursuing a woman who he was actively training one-to-one to potentially be a part of their police department. He also had say on if she was qualified enough to enter the department, so a position of some superiority. In addition to this, finding texts to friends calling me a C******, amongst other slurs, despite us not having any active tension in the relationship. It is my speculation that this may have been to set himself up to not look as outwardly like the bad guy, as I was completely blindsided by this, considering we had a very long-standing relationship without much resistance throughout its entirety, so I could not even begin to justify it as frustration or emotionally charged words against me. He must have recently applied for a state police position and put me down as a former girlfriend, for which the department just called me yesterday to interview me on his character. Despite him not having the most outrageous red flags like any form of physical abuse, he was at a major lack of integrity throughout the entirety of the relationship, and displayed a number of manipulation tactics even following actual proof of his relations with this girl. 1. Do I follow up this call with telling them we broke up as a result of him having relations with an officer he was training? And 2. How much does this impact his ability to get the job? Lastly 3. What impact would it have if I just never answer, which is what I'm currently leaning towards. I don't have a vengeance out for this guy. It has been well over 1.5 years since the incident, and so I am very emotionally removed, but I also don't want to have him think I would protect him or his reputation ever, as I never even got a mere apology for all of these happenings. What's everybody's thought? Post was edited to better explain the situation of our relationship and why it ended, as some bad grammar made for a bit of a confusing intro. Stories number 41. Aita for waiting 3 months to prove my boyfriend wrong. Early in the summer, my boyfriend, 24M, and I, 22M, started watching Lost. One night we were watching an episode after dinner, and my boyfriend asked what happened to one of the characters' girlfriends, Helen. Now, Helen's name is pronounced exactly how you spell it, like Helen Mirren. But my boyfriend pronounced it like Helene. I thought this was kind of funny, and said, I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Helen, to which he responded with, no, you're wrong, in a pretty flat, dismissive tone. For some reason this really got to me. He's always super confident in his opinions and views, even when he's definitely incorrect, but he's never straight up said that I was wrong before. I didn't press it any further. Instead, I patiently waited until the next time someone said the character's name, so that I could finally say, I was right all along. You're the one who was wrong. Which I was only able to do 4 seasons and 3 months later. My boyfriend doesn't even remember telling me I was wrong, and thinks it's weird that I waited so long for this petty revenge. He also feels embarrassed that I brought up so much attention to him being wrong. Aita for holding on to this for so long. Info, my BF is Canadian and English is his first language, though people say both sound insufferable with unattractive qualities. Update, my boyfriend and I have read the comments on my previous post. We've had a good laugh at all the comments calling us manipulative, gaslighting and petty lol. I've enjoyed having my feelings and my methods vindicated, and my boyfriend acknowledges that he shouldn't have been so curt. But I have to clarify that my boyfriend is a beautiful, kind, and sensitive man, and that his not remembering the incident in question is not evidence of him gaslighting me, but of just how silly this whole situation is. He's always been nothing less than honest with me, maybe even to a fault and we've always had good communication. I love him, and we both find his mispronunciation really funny, but why didn't you Google it? Because that's not what Benjamin Linus would have done. He'd plot and connive, because he's a petty hoe, so that's exactly what I did. BF here, you may be asking, as my boyfriend aka OP was, why and how the hell did I think her name was Helene? The explanation is as simple as it is stupid. I was also rewatching The Office at the time this incident took place and there is a character named Helene in it. However, I recognized that I was an asshole in this situation. Stories number 42. He's been pursuing me, then sent me a spreadsheet asking to be reimbursed for our dates. Hi everyone, I, F23, have been dating this guy, M32, for a little over a month now. He was very persistent in pursuing me, constantly texting, making plans, asking me to go on runs, bike rides, and beach days. We live in Florida, and inviting me to dinner, bars, and even paying for Ubers to and from his place. We were hanging out at least 4 times a week. Everything felt like it was going somewhere. He'd been slowly building things up and even waited weeks to finally kiss me. Then, out of nowhere, he sends me a literal Excel spreadsheet with a breakdown of dates, how much he spent, and a column with my name, asking me to reimburse him. I'm attaching it because I truly can't believe it. It felt transactional and weirdly formal, especially since he was the one initiating nearly all the plans. What's even more confusing, after sending this, he still insists on seeing me and continuing to date. Like, you want to invoice me and kiss me? And for context, I've picked up the tab quite a few times, dinner, drinks, etc. without making a thing of it. I've never asked him to pay me back or keep score. I thought we were just getting to know each other and splitting things organically like adults, especially since he's about 10 years older than I am. So am I overreacting or underreacting? I can't tell if this is just him being organized or if it's a huge red flag. Hi everyone, thanks so much for all the responses on my last post, it blew up and I appreciate all the feedback. I wanted to add some details that didn't make it into the original post, since a lot of people were asking for clarification. In the spreadsheet he sent me, I'm the green column, and no, it's not cigars/cigs for me, lol. Green also referred to a $200 pair of Hoka shoes he texted me about buying. He took me to a nicer spot called In Between Days for a more intimate dinner. The other man on the spreadsheet asking for payment was actually his twin, who sometimes joins us on double dates, but usually picks up the check himself. I always offer to pay my share. Money is genuinely stressful for me, and I hate the feeling of owing anyone. He always refused in the moment, then turned around and invoiced me formally later. I would have much rather just paid my own way from the start than have any of this happen. Final update. I sent him the last payment and then blocked him and deleted his contact. I didn't want him to hold anything over me. It sucks that I paid him, but at least it's over. Thanks to everyone who weighed in. Stories number 43. Can't leave until closing time, even if everything's done. Enjoy the overtime bill. I used to work at a luxury watch store in mall. We closed at 9 p.m., but most nights we'd be done with all the cleaning and closing tasks by 8:40. With no customers around, we just quietly wait out the last 15 to 20 minutes. One day, our regional manager walked in unannounced around 8:45, saw us sitting and talking, and got mad. Next morning, we got a new rule, no closing tasks can begin until after 9 p.m. He wanted us working until the very end. Fine. We stopped doing anything before 9. Every display, register, cleaning task, all of it waited until the clock struck 9 o'clock. Which meant we didn't finish until 9:30 every night. And since our contracts gave us paid overtime if we stayed late, we started racking up extra pay every shift. After 2 weeks, corporate started asking why labor costs had spiked. But we kept following their instructions exactly. It wasn't until senior exec watched us standing around doing nothing for 20 minutes before madly closing up after hours that they finally dropped the rule. New policy: use your judgment, just make sure the store looks good until closing. Amazing how fast common sense returns when budget take a hit. Stories number 44. My sister-in-law announced her pregnancy at my baby shower. I'm 29F and 7 months pregnant with my first baby. My sister-in-law, 28F, has been trying to get pregnant for about 2 years, and I've been really supportive through all her fertility struggles. So my baby shower was last Saturday and about 30 people came. Everything was going really well, we were playing games, opening gifts, the usual stuff. Then right in the middle of gift opening, my sister-in-law stands up and taps her champagne glass to get everyone's attention. She announces that she's 8 weeks pregnant and everyone immediately starts screaming and congratulating her. Which is amazing news, I'm genuinely happy for her. But like, at my baby shower, in the middle of my gift opening, the whole energy shifted after that. People were asking her about due dates and symptoms and sharing pregnancy advice with her. I felt like I was watching someone else's baby shower for the rest of the afternoon. My mom and mother-in-law were both fawning over her and talking about how excited they are to have 2 babies so close together. When I talked to my husband about it later, he said I was being selfish and that I should be happy she felt comfortable sharing the news with family. He said there's room for 2 pregnant women in the family and that I'm hormonal and overreacting. But like, couldn't she have waited literally 1 day? Or pulled me aside privately first? I feel like such a horrible person for being upset when I should just be happy for her. Stories number 45. Silver threads. Several years back, I took on a roommate. Younger guy, about 25. I was in my mid-50s. He worked at a local store on the night shift. As I am a quiet person, there was never a problem with him needing it to sleep during the day. I merely puttered about and kept noise to a minimum. We were simply roommates, not best buds or anything. The room came with a queen-sized mattress, but no frame, courtesy of an earlier roomie, and a desk. Anything else he wanted was up to him. Roomie took himself off the work each night, returning in the morning, and all was well in our world. Paid his rent and bills on time, which was a nice change from the run of bad roomies I had recently experienced. About halfway through that second month he just seemed a little off. Nothing huge, just a general feeling of something being out of kilter. The very next week, I hear him moving things around in his room. Then he pops out, carrying a duffel over his shoulder. He tells me some story about going to visit his dying grandmother. Seems his cousin paid for the air ticket. Lets me know that he'll send the rent and bills money via a cash service when it is all due. Just let him know the totals. Week after that, I text him the totals. The next day, another text. Then voicemail. A message via social media. Yeah, you guessed it, he's done a runner. Every day for 10 days I try to get in contact with this guy. Every text and message is left unread, every voicemail unanswered. I sent a final text, message, and voicemail and made it clear I was going to sell or donate anything I find in his room in 30 days. 30 days later, I open the room and it's a treasure trove. Older vinyl records, vintage, handheld game systems, a couple of guitars and a whole bunch of silver coins. I literally got enough cash to have covered his rent/bills for another 3 months. The really petty revenge part, several months later, I actually get a phone call from this nitwit. He is shocked to find out I have one. Moved to another state, 2. Not taken all his sh*t with me in 3. Actually sold everything just like I told him I would do. Seems he was convinced I was some moldy oldie who would happily store his cr*p for months and just hand it all back whenever he got around to it. Nope. Stories number 46. I found my dad's secret Reddit account and now I can't look at him the same. This is probably going to sound fake, but I swear it's real. I, 21F, was using my dad's computer while visiting home. He left a Reddit tab open, nothing NSFW or alarming, just a comment thread about classic rock bands. I noticed the username was kind of unique and made a mental note. Later, on my phone, I looked it up out of curiosity. He posts a lot. But not just about music. He posts about me. About my mom. About his job. Some of it is brutally honest. He wrote about how he sometimes regrets having a second child, that's me. How he feels invisible in his marriage. How he used to pretend to love being a dad, but mostly just wanted to be alone. There was one post from a year ago where he said, "If I could disappear without hurting anyone, I would." I'm reeling. I've always seen my dad as calm, kind, steady. But the man I saw in those posts is sad, resentful, and deeply unfulfilled. I don't know if I'll ever say anything to him. I feel like I wasn't supposed to see any of it. But I can't unsee it. And now I don't know who he really is. Stories number 47. You can't even use them both at the same time. Cousin's mom tried to claim one of my Switch consoles. This happened a while ago, but it still bugs me when I think about it. I have both a Switch OLED and a Switch Lite. I use the OLED at home and the Lite when I'm out and don't want to lug around the nicer one. Anyway, during a family gathering, my younger cousin noticed I had the Lite with me and asked what happened to the other one. I explained that I still had it at home and just used them in different situations. He seemed curious but didn't say anything weird. A few days later, I got a message from his mom saying something like, "Hey, cousin, mentioned you have two Switches. Would you mind giving him one? You can't even use them both at the same time." I didn't even know how to respond. Like, yeah, I can't play both at the same time, but, what? I guess my cousin asked for a Switch and the mom thought this was a clever workaround. Or maybe the mother overheard us during the gathering. Then she followed up with, "It would mean so much to him. He's been doing well in school and really deserves something nice. I just don't see why you need two. You could be generous for once." She then tried calling but I didn't pick up. I never responded and she eventually gave up, but the whole thing left a weird taste in my mouth. Haven't seen them yet since, kind of curious how it will go. Stories number 48. Whipped for not reminding my wife it's my birthday. I've been married for 6 years and I love my wife dearly. However, there's been a disconnect between us. I feel like I'm more invested in our relationship than she is. I'm always the first to apologize when we argue, always the one to press issues so we can talk, and the one who typically bends so we can find balance. Today is my birthday and so far it's like she has no idea. We went through the normal motions this morning, talked about our day and she asked if we can grab takeout tonight from her favorite place so she's clearly forgot. I'm not someone who makes a big deal about things like birthdays but also I guess I'd like to have it acknowledged. I'd like that reassurance that I matter to people. I mean, I feel kinda invisible in my own life sometimes and I just want to know people care. I guess I'd like to know if I'm a priority to her. To see if she even would acknowledge my birthday if I don't prompt her. I mean, I took her out for hers, got her gifts she loved, etc. I'm just curious if I would even hear the two words if I didn't say anything. Whipped if I continue to go through today without telling her. Comments. I mean, she isn't a terrible wife. Normally things are good between us but it's just lately it feels like there's a disconnect and I'm not really sure how to address it. She has a history with trauma so her communication isn't great and often just assumes I should know things she's thinking or make the same connections she does. I don't really know how to address that I guess. If wife has a habit to forget things, no not really. She has a history of hating her own birthday and tries to avoid it so I kind of have to dance around it to show that I care. Maybe she downplays mine because she hates her own. I'm not doing it to be petty or anything. Just sometimes it feels like no one would really notice if I disappeared. Today just feels like that I guess. I'm not doing it as a gotcha moment or building ammunition or anything. I'd rather it wasn't the case but I'm just letting it play out and see if she realizes or if it matters to her. I don't even really care about gifts. I mean, I'm an adult that kinda buys things as I need them. It's more just that she forgot. I'd like to feel like I matter enough to her to remember. I'd like her to just wish me a happy birthday as stupid as that sounds. I'm not going to throw things away over this. That would be ridiculous. I'm just not gonna deny that it hurts she's forgotten. Like she'll keep up to date on things she's passionate about and tell me about them all the time but something like this just gets dropped. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go this route. I don't want to tell her and have her just be reactionary. I'll tell her tomorrow and how it made me feel and try to work on us. Other people's birthdays matter to her but not her own. Prior to our relationship hers was never a priority to her family, partners, etc. I try to do something each year to show her I care and that trend isn't continuing. My family usually tries to get together for dinner on our birthdays, not like a party or anything but just a, "you matter to us," kind of thing. My wife has been invited to each of these and we've celebrated hers as well. Everyone fucks up occasionally, I wouldn't divorce over something this small. In her mind it's probably not a big deal but I just feel unappreciated. Update. So yesterday was my birthday and I was under the impression that my wife had forgotten. I got all up in my head questioning a lot of things in our marriage. My wife had earlier mentioned getting fast food from one of her favorite places, and it made me think that my birthday wasn't even on her radar. Well, following the advice I received, I didn't say anything to her. I went to pick her up from work and give her her keys. We're at one car between us because mine is in the shop, and everything played out as normal. However, instead of going to Crushed Red like she had mentioned, we pulled up at my favorite Mexican restaurant that we only go to on special occasions. Over the course of one massive burrito and some deep margaritas, we got to talking. She said it was really hard to not say anything, but she wanted to surprise me. I told her how I had felt and she was immediately apologetic. She blamed herself and I told her she had nothing to apologize for. She was trying to surprise me and I could have remedied everything by just communicating. We talked about our relationship a bit and had a good night. She asked me what I'd like to do and I just wanted a simple night, so we went home and watched a movie together I'd been trying to get her to see, The Raid, Redemption, which she actually really liked. All in all, it was a good night and a lot of my fears were misguided. I felt like I owed you guys an update after so many of you reached out yesterday. Hope you all have a good day. Comments. I mean, to be fair to her, we spent most of that day working. We currently work in the same building, and she didn't have a whole lot of time to do/say much. I was stuck working and spiraling a bit for several hours. She was looking to surprise me with it after we got off work. Honestly, she really is good to me. I was in an abusive relationship for years before her, and ever since I've been on high alert for red flags to keep from having it happen again. This leads to me sometimes seeing things in a more jaded light than they need to be. She really is great, and while communication isn't perfect, sometimes we both really try. I mean, I did my best to not let on how I was feeling. I think if I had been more honest about it, she would have definitely responded. She wasn't being deliberately hurtful, it was an oversight and bad communication. She just wanted to surprise me, and to be fair, she did. Yeah, we both have past trauma and it leads to us both being people pleasers. That makes communication hard sometimes, but we both really try our best at it. I know her well enough to know her tells. She was being genuine. Plus, this place is the kind of place you need to get a reservation, it gets crazy busy at night. She had already booked us a table. This was planned. Honestly, she is doing a lot. With my car being in the shop, she's driving us both to work even though I am scheduled an hour before she is. She just chills for an hour to help me out. I also probably would have gotten more attention etc. if I hadn't been dismissive. I played it off like it was fine and gave short answers to her messages. This was mainly on me and not communicating well. I mean, once it clicked what her plan was etc., I stopped feeling hurt. If anything, she felt so bad for making me feel that way, even if it was inadvertent. I told her not to hold on to it and that I wasn't upset anymore now that I understood the situation. I could have said something to her at any point, but was getting in my own head and digging myself deeper. I enjoy surprises, it was the not acknowledging my birthday up until that point that hurt. I really think she didn't mean to hurt my feelings at all. It just was accidental and I'm not going to hold it against her. Yeah, bonded with my wife, ate a burrito the size of an infant, and watched a classic action movie. Pretty great night. Stories number 49. Aita for defending my friend's reputation as a fitness coach after someone passed out in her class. My 28F friend, 26F, recently became a fitness coach at a new spin studio in town. She was really nervous that no one would show up to her first class. The studio offers a free first class, so we both texted a bunch of people to help fill it up. It worked. We ended up booking the entire class. One of the people who showed up was a 34M, let's call him Mike. He's one of her friends and is on a big weight loss journey. He's already lost 50 pounds and still has a ways to go. I really admire how committed he is. Halfway through the class, I heard some commotion and someone screamed. I was across the room and couldn't see what was happening. Turns out Mike had fainted and fell, hitting his head. He came to pretty quickly, and the ambulance arrived in about 10 to 15 minutes. He kept telling everyone he was fine and that he had been doing a 24-hour water fast, which is probably why he passed out. Later, he said a doctor saw him for less than 2 minutes and just told him to go home and eat something. After that, people started saying my friend's class was so intense that someone passed out. It scared off some people but also attracted some hardcore gym folks who wanted to try it. I got kind of defensive and explained that her class isn't extreme or unsafe, it was just a one-time situation with someone doing an extreme diet. One of our mutual friends thought I was downplaying my friend's skills or saying she doesn't teach a good class. That wasn't what I meant at all. I just didn't want people to be scared off for the wrong reason. So now I'm wondering, am I the asshole for trying to explain what really happened? Edit. My friend was upset about this situation. She tells everyone to please eat before her class. She doesn't want people passing out ever. Edit 2. Water fast means he only drank water for 24 hours and ate no food. He passed out from over-exercising low blood sugar. Stories number 50. AIO by divorcing my wife after she blew $100,000 on fashion in 2 years. We got lucky with an inheritance that was supposed to be our future, house down payment, retirement, you know, adult shit. Instead she went full shopaholic. At first I didn't even notice. She'd come home with new stuff and I'd be like, cool new dress, without thinking much about it. Then the credit card bills started rolling in. We had a talk, then another, then therapy. Nothing worked. The final straw was finding out she had a secret storage unit just for all the clothes that wouldn't fit in our closet anymore. Some still had tags on. I'm not controlling, she can spend her own money however she wants. But this was our future she was literally wearing away. We're talking $4,000 purses, designer shoes she wore once, custom shit I can't even pronounce. I tried everything before going nuclear. But when I suggested selling some of it to recoup losses, she had a complete meltdown. Papers are filed. She's staying with her sister who thinks I'm the devil. My parents are not agreeing. Dad says I'm right, mom says, in sickness and health, includes shopping addiction. She keeps texting that she'll change, but I just don't believe it anymore. And honestly, the trust is gone. I can't stop thinking about what our future would have looked like. Now it's just a closet full of overpriced fabric. So am I overreacting for walking away from someone who couldn't stop shopping even when it destroyed our future? Stories number 51. Don't think anyone will care what I think and advise me to leave a negative review. Awesome, let's see what happens. This is a long one but I still enjoy it. Long ago I was dumb enough to rent a house within the control of an HOA. I have since learned better. This property was managed by a company called City I lived in. Properties. They had purchased the house within the HOA and rented to us, but given that I wasn't actually in the HOA, I was just a renter. It became a really convoluted mess very quickly. We were told that we would need to adhere to the HOA guidelines, but we couldn't talk to the HOA directly nor would we be able to receive a copy of the rules, but that it wasn't that serious. Most of their tenants didn't ever hear from them. Should have said no right then, but I was young and dumb. The day I arrived at the property to move my stuff in, I was informed by my landlord that I was being fined $100 for my trash cans being visible from the street. Apparently because my trash can was delivered by the city 2 days prior to a place I didn't have access to, it was my responsibility to have driven across town and broken into the backyard to move the trash cans. The first infraction is a warning they never passed on. The second is $100. They said I was responsible for it, especially after the warning I literally never received. Then they told me that they would only accept payment in person going forward, even though my deposit and first month's rent were paid online, and it must be through a money order in person. Then they informed me the office for the city I lived in, properties which I'd never been to, is actually a 2-hour drive away, totally not in the city I lived in. I told them this is my first day and I got the keys an hour ago. There's no way I could have done this correctly. Surely it could be explained to the HOA that this couldn't be my fault. They said no, I couldn't talk to the HOA because I wasn't a member, couldn't see the rules I was supposed to follow because the HOA only allows copies for members. Then they pointed me to a single line in the rental agreement that said I would follow the rules. After far more back and forth than should be required for something so ridiculous, we came to an agreement that they would cover the fine, but for some reason it was impossible to waive the record of the infractions and I would be halfway to eviction on day one. All of it counted against me, but they'd do the $100. I asked if there were any more rules that I needed to be aware of up front since I couldn't get a copy of the rules. They told me I had to mow every Thursday because that and the trash can thing is what typically gets people in trouble. They do a walk by Fridays. If we mowed on Wednesday it would be too long by then. If we did it Friday they'd count it as not done. I mow the lawn every Thursday for months and kept my head down. I never even spoke to a neighbor or did anything to draw attention to myself. Around 3/4 of the way through the lease I get a $400 fine on a Friday with a photo taken nearly in my backyard of my grass with a ruler next to it which I had just mowed the day before. I'd missed a single tuft of grass behind the AC unit. It was less than half an inch above the rest of it. They'd walked through the yard to the back corner with a ruler to find an issue. They said this puts me on my final warning before eviction unless I could prove it was cut by a specific landscaping company owned by someone in the HOA. Apparently the HOA only accepts work from them and it's the only way to reverse a fine. I fought it hard but ultimately I paid it because I was almost out. Then I started to pay to have it done by that company and kept receipts just in case. Around 2 months or so left in the lease I get another notice. This time it's a $600 fine and a formal letter stating that I would be evicted and a picture of my grass fully mowed. No ruler, no indication that anything was really wrong, just a wide shot of my house with cut grass. Since the last time I was told that a receipt proving it was done by them could clear it up. I called the landlord up, offered to show them the copy of the receipt, told them to look at this picture or come by with a ruler, but it was done correctly. I figured it was a misunderstanding and there's no way I'm actually getting evicted over this. A woman who I'd never spoken with answers the phone and comes in hot from the get-go. I calmly explained the situation to her. She isn't having any of it, cuts me off mid-sentence, says I have to pay $600 today, then they are going to evict me. Refuse to look at the receipt or the photo, tells me the buck stopped there and it's my fault for being a bad tenant and to just save my breath and start packing. I told her I didn't recognize her voice and that I had been dealing with someone else. I asked how long she'd been there. 2 days, I just started. I asked to speak to someone else who might be more experienced. There's nobody else. We don't need to continue any further than you giving me my money. I started to say I think that I need to speak to someone else again. Nobody else works here and no one cares what you think. Stop trying to get out of it and be a man. I'm a pretty easygoing guy, but now it was the principle of the thing. I was like, I'm pretty sure someone cares what I think and I know they didn't just hire you and leave you alone in the office. Then go write your opinion on Google or something where we can all go back to ignoring you. If you call back you're only ever going to talk to me because this isn't worth anyone else's time. I said, oh, don't worry, I will get right on that and I promise you're going to care in the end. Then this woman started listing off review websites saying that they don't care and no one cares about me. Go to Yelp, go to this place and this place because no one cares. I wrote them all down. Asked for her name, she gave that too and I wrote that down. Then I told her I'd be in touch. Cue the malicious compliance. This was early in the morning and I had to go to work, but it was an office job that allowed me some leeway in when my work could be done as long as all of it got done before the end of the week. I cleared my whole day, I didn't get a single other thing done. I found every online site that even halfway mentioned them and I wrote an entire scathing review on every one of them. Not just copy and paste but fully hashed out in every single place fresh. I even contacted the local news organization, though they never got back to me, but the attempt was made. I ripped them a new one in every method I could. Their website, Yelp, Google, Zillow, every single place that had a message box. I was doing it in bed up to the point I passed out late that night. Most of these places had no reviews or 1 5-star review, so it definitely didn't go unnoticed. 8 a.m. I get a call from the VP of the property company. She'd flown in from Florida where she was on vacation to figure out why they suddenly had all these super negative, super specific reviews. I said, oh, so there is someone else who works there. The VP tells me that she's read the reviews and that while she's sorry this was my experience, that this was liable or whatever since I wrote it in a public place and that they'd sue. I told her it's not liable if it's a true account of my experience, which it was. I added that her new employee even told me the places I could write my opinion because no one was ever going to care what I said. I was just following instructions. They were also evicting me based on something that was demonstrably false, so it's not like I had anything to lose. She got really quiet, then puffs herself up and started getting an attitude, says I'd be hearing from her lawyers soon. I said, oh great, were they on vacation too? She hung up. I think it was an hour or two later I get another call from the president of the property company this time. They looked at my receipt for the lawn care and looked at the photo and saw that it was very obviously wrong and were dropping the charge. We were not going to be evicted. Not only that, but they'd straightened it out with the HOA and the first 2 infractions were also dropped. My $400 infraction was actually only a warning as a first infraction, so I'd be getting that money back, and to top it all off, the wretched woman who told me that no one would ever care what I think was fired by him personally before the call, which is what took the hour or two. Apparently she was in tears. They asked if I would take down or at least revise some of my reviews so it didn't ruin their company's reputation. I left them all up even after I moved out and never answered another call from them again. Someone's dog may or may not have also taken a dump underneath their doormat and accidentally stomped on it after a 2-hour drive to drop off the last money order. Impossible to tell really, but who cares anyway.